morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and thanks for stopping by. Welcome to RGV Aerial Photography's deep dive into images he captured this week around the shipyard and launch site in Boca Chica, Texas. Our dedicated team will guide you through with the latest updates and theories at Starbase, Texas. If you're new to the channel, be sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell icon for future streams.
Welcome back to another episode of Starbase Photography Review. This is episode 22. And today we'll be going over photos taken on the flyover on the 18th and ground shots that were taken on the 19th. I'll pass this along to Indian Star.
Hello, everybody. It's me, Indian Star. We're so happy to have you here this week. Thanks for joining us. We have lots of photos, ground and aerial today, so super exciting. And I will throw it over to GPJ.
Guys, it's Grandpa Joe. Thanks for having me on again, Mauricio and Indian Star, and we'll send it on over to you, Zach Golden.
Well, hello, everybody. Thank you guys for joining us. Excited to see you guys here. I always like sitting in the chat before the show starts and just seeing all the excitement from all you guys. So thanks for joining us, and I'm really excited to talk about these aerial photos and the ground photography as well. So we're going to mix it up like we have been in the past and kind of try and integrate the ground photos in with the aerials so that you guys can get multiple views of all the stuff that we're talking about and kind of get a better understanding of what we're seeing. So with that being said, I think we are going to start off obviously on this picture, which Mauricio definitely got a good shot of his dog outside of the rocket garden with ship 20. I'm sorry, I almost called it ship 24. With ship 20 now sitting in the garden, this is a really awesome picture. You want to tell us a little about it, Mauricio? Was it hot this day?
Not that hot, but it was windy out there, so it wasn't as hot as it would feel like. But this is his name's Sunny. He's 3 months old, and he's a golden retriever. And it's funny, when I was posting this image on Twitter, I was trying to look for a good caption for this, and I just left it real simple, rocket dog. And somebody did comment, and it was just kind of funny. I guess perspective made it seem like he's kind of almost the same size as the rockets or starships. Somebody commented Clifford the big brown dog, but and I just thought that was pretty hilarious. But in this case, it would have been Sunny the big brown dog. But I don't know, what do y'all think about this?
So I retweeted it as this is SpaceX's secret project for a giant race of dogs.
I thought you did that on purpose. You didn't do the perspective on purpose, Mauricio?
I didn't. I mean, so when I was taking a photo of him, my main thought was just to get him in the same frame as the rocket garden there. And I sat him on top of my truck so that I can get a lower perspective, and he was just kind of just looking around, and I didn't actually figure it out till later on how the perspective actually made him look almost as tall as the starships there. But I don't know, it just I guess it's just the perspective. But we had fun. We had fun out there. Took him to the beach.
The real question everybody wants to know, is he a good boy?
Oh yeah, he's too good a boy. I took him out to the beach, and he was actually wanting to go out there with strangers, and I'm like, hey, what's going on with you? Come back. It's he still has some work to do on the behavior side of things, following orders, right?
Did he do better this time around when you guys were walking out in the mud flat area? Or did you go out there this time?
Yeah, we went out there, but we were only out there for a little bit. I didn't go all the way to the rocket garden this time, so it's he follows you around. That's a good thing. I don't have to have him on the leash, especially when it's just me and him.
For sure, he's definitely gonna follow whoever's got the food.
And you know he loves every minute of those walks, and even Elon has been spotted out there with his dog, and you know it's fun and surprising that in such an industrial environment, man, those dogs know how not to get in the way too much.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of loud noises out there. I don't think my dog would be cool with that. She kind of has trouble just walking up the street when there's a bus going up the road. She freaks out. So Starbase probably not the place for a dog like that. But when you raise them in this environment, then usually, you're going to get a different result. So that's really awesome.
Wait, I met your dog. If she can get through the hustle and bustle of Chicago, I'm sure she'd do just fine out here.
She didn't do that well in the streets. Chicago's rough, even for a dog, I guess. Well, with that being said, again, thank you guys for joining us. Looks like there's about 200 of you guys in here. Thank you for being early. We are going to hop into the show and start with the aerials. We actually had another really great week. It's been, I like this time of year because there's a lot less interruptions as far as bad weather that causes us to miss a flyover during the week. I think we've been pretty successful going back to back, 4 weeks in a row now, Mauricio? No bad weather that's preventing us from doing flyovers, which is really, really awesome.
It's been good. The only thing we have to worry about is the wind situation, but other than that, there's not really any, unless we have thunderstorms, but this is by far the most we've gone without scrubbing a flyover, honestly.
That's awesome. Do you think the thunderstorms are going to start rolling in much more frequently coming up soon?
Yeah, possibly in the next coming month or so. Right now, we're kind of in the wind. We are going to get a bunch of that sand coming through from the Saharan desert, so that's something to look out for to see what the visibility is like. But
Interesting.
I think we're going to get a lot of hazy conditions. It does make for some pretty sunsets and sunrises, so I think Carlos is going to have some fun with that.
Do you notice the heat impacting the photography at all? If it gets too hot, does everything get wavy, or not so much from the air?
Not from the air. It's mainly at the ground level because that's where most of the heat kind of bounces off from the asphalt or the ground level there. But you can't really tell that much from the air. But the best times to photograph the site is usually in the mornings or in the afternoons when there's not that much heat distortion.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, and sometimes that heat distortion can make for some really awesome shots.
Yeah. Depends where you're shooting.
I'm always hoping for cold days. Usually when I'm just looking at lab Padre cameras, it's kind of hard to see things from far away when you got that heat distortion. Especially with the Raptor roost cam, if you guys have seen that one, trying to look at the launch site and you got all the heat distortion messing up the image. It's pretty frustrating sometimes. I'm always hoping for some clouds to show up.
I do love the establishing shot, that first wide shot of everything with the build site off to the right and the launch site off to the left. And just to give a little bit of perspective, Zach, can you kind of highlight, the general area where some of the cameras are, for anybody watching? And, there's some.
Well,
unless that'll get lab in trouble.
No, I mean, it's just a general area. So, I mean, Nerdle, if you guys watching lab Padre cams, I believe that is somewhere along on the highway, right in this area, is where Nerdle and Sentinel and lab cam are. And so you can kind of see the distance that they're looking at both the build site and the launch site from those positions. And then obviously Rover 2 is in the front of the launch site. Used to be on the beach getting that kind of. Oh wait, Rover 1 is back on the beach as well too. Yep. So getting that view of the launch site from this direction. And Raptor Roost is over in this direction, and it has a really nice view of the back of the build site and the launch site as well too. But you can see that distance. I mean, it's double. It's almost triple the distance for the launch site. So it really has to be a good day to get views of it from that camera. But
Yeah, and I'll say this. I'm a consumer of all sources of space news, so I really appreciate RGV's flyovers. They're completely invaluable, and even watching LabCam, RGV's photos give perspective as to where I'm watching from, what I'm watching, etc. So you really got to get it from all the angles.
And GPJ,
Yeah,
you're not alone, because 55 Chevy Guy donated $20 to help with the aviation fuel costs. Thanks, 55
What?
Chevy Guy.
Chevy,
Yeah.
you're all right. Thank you, man.
I honestly do that a lot too. I usually kind of have them side by side. I mean, I have all of the photos organized pretty much from all the way back to August of 2020. So, anytime I see stuff happening on the live stream cameras, I tend to open up the aerials in order to figure out what is over there in that area. So, like if you see a crane lifting something up over here, we'll refer back to the flyovers in order to get an idea of the objects that are over there. So I can pretty much guess what they're doing. So without having these flyovers, I kind of get lost. So when it's 2 or occasionally 3 weeks in between them, it's like really stressful because I'm like, I have no idea what's over there anymore. They could be doing anything.
And I want to give a big shout out to all the people who help label and identify everything. We've got people like Procky who make the labels for us, Boca Bingo, who is running for a poll that is open right now. I'll toss that out there. And then we have, don't we have a special guest today who does 3D animations? Are they on with us yet?
Not yet, but they hopefully will be a little bit later.
All right. Well, we'll save them for later then. But yeah, they make animations or 3D renders for space. And yeah, go ahead.
Did you see the super chat? I thought you were going to talk about the super chat.
No. I don't have the super chats open yet.
So we got another donation for $5 from Jim Cabot, who's also donating to the Fuel Fund. So we wanted to definitely say thank you. Thank you, Jim Cabot.
Yeah, we definitely really appreciate all your guys' support. It definitely goes a long way to helping us out, putting these shows on every week. So definitely appreciate you guys more than you know. With that being said, let us swap over to Macy's. Is that where we're starting now these days?
Sounds like
People
a
still
plan.
mad at me for giving up on Sanchez.
I think just call it Macy's and Massey so that we get it right.
Massey's. Massey's sound the way it's spelled Massey, right? I feel like it's probably Massey's. Let's go back to calling it that.
I don't know why we went to Macy's.
Because that was right. That was the guy's name.
Okay.
Well, in Denver, never mind. I'm not going to go into that one. I was going to make a joke about Macy's going out of business, but we'll not do that. Anyways, so over at the Macy's site, it kind of looks the same from last week. We definitely have some paving going on. Got to use up that concrete. And yeah, I mean, it's pretty much just a continued storage area, and it's not a whole lot of progress or excitement, unfortunately. But
yeah, I scoured through here ahead of the show, and I did not see anything outside of that grading. And I do like how in this shot you can see how the river used to go around the little island there. And that's the Rio Grande, or what used to be the Rio Grande right there. And then on the other side, here, go back to that other picture. And you can see, I think that's the Rio Grande up above there, and then that's Mexico. So that little horseshoe is, I guess, that's just a former tributary. Sometimes rivers will curve, and then they'll break off and straighten out and leave behind little lakes like that.
Lake Massey?
Yeah.
It's more like a moat, right?
Yeah.
You know you made it when you got a moat. Anyways, well, I guess since there's nothing going on here, let's hop over to the Sanchez site then, huh?
Mm-hmm.
And we got the rocket garden. As you guys know, ship 20 is now joined ship 15 and booster 5 and actually, why am I confusing this one over here? 15, 24, and 20. There's so many of them out there now. It's kind of hard to remember. It's like shuffling cards.
Oh wait, it's booster 5, ship 15, ship 20, or 22, and then ship 20.
What did I say?
24.
You love yourself some 24, don't you?
Oh man, we're all going to be excited for 24 here soon. Yeah, that's 22 right there.
You're right. Sorry about that, guys. Like I said, we got a lot of ships floating around. Luckily, there's half of one less ship now that 16 is in the process of being disassembled. But and actually, I would say it's still up in the air on whether or not it is truly fully done for. I mean, they have been removed. Actually, you know what? I'll take that back. I saw some some cuts on the bottom of the nose cone, and I don't think it's going to go back on. But
The nose cone won't, but they
No.
could still use the body.
I agree, and I think it's as simple, if they really wanted to, as just using one of their what's it called? The prototype nose cones that are still left around from when they first started the new banana peel design.
Mhm.
They could just swap out a nose cone on it if they really wanted to, but I can't imagine them going out of their way to do that. And I personally, I don't even know if I would want to see them do that, truthfully. I mean, as cool as it is to get off the plane at Brownsville Airport or just drive by it and see a full Starship there, I would rather that happen after the first orbital flight so that, just reducing the amount of distractions and, you don't want to be dedicating manpower to stuff like that when we have pretty big goals they're trying to reach. So
Absolutely. I think the best scenario for everyone would be maybe ship 25. If they could just land that at the airport, we'd be gold. Plenty of open tarmac, great places to land. Just throw on some legs. We're ready to go.
honestly, if you think about it, Ship 16 had legs, right? So if any Starship could have been transported to the airport via flight, it would have been Ship 16.
Mhm.
They could have done a nice little suborbital launch. Obviously, I can't even imagine how difficult it would be to get clearance to
You would have to
land a
evacuate
Starship on the runway at the airport, but that'd be a
You
good way of
would
getting
have
it there.
to evacuate a 2 mile square area at least, or
Seriously.
2 mile radius.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, minus the obvious not getting approval to do that. In my opinion, that is probably the most efficient and probably also the cheapest way to get it there. You don't have to shut down all the roads and remove all the power lines in order to, transport a ship down the street. Which, again, I as cool as it is, I just hope they don't do that.
And by the way, I looked it up. The lake left over whenever a river changes course is called an oxbow lake. Oxbow. Word of the day.
I think my elementary school teachers failed me because I've never heard that before.
Well, today you
Geography
learn.
clash.
So, what do you think they're going to be building at this new little corner lot over here? Well, not the corner lot, but as much as they can build. What's your bet on that one, Zach?
Well, I got a few ideas. I'll save some of them. It's interesting because it looks like they're preparing it for concrete, possibly. Here, let me get a better view of that from a different angle. So it kind of looks like they're preparing it for more concrete with the way that they've graded this area down. I actually first noticed this when Jessica Curse was live streaming, I believe it was 2 weeks ago at this point. I believe she was right over here in this area and kind of saw all the trucks driving by and offloading all the dirt over here. And yeah, I mean, it's quite a bit of dirt. It's a massive amount that they've added in here. It's tough to tell because they prepared several areas in the Sanchez site, specifically this area right here, which is still a mystery to me. I mean, we have the injection well and the actual gas well here, but this doesn't actually appear to connect to them. And then you have these random trailers right here. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of tough to tell. It just, in a way, seems like they're cleaning up the Sanchez site, but I don't know. I think we may see them use this for just storage of some kind again after it's maybe paved over. I mean, having so much dirt in this area is not really a good thing for what they're trying to do here. It actually causes a lot of issues in a lot of ways. It increases the amount of cleaning that they have to do, not only just on the road, but like in the vehicles as well too. So obviously they're not building these vehicles in a clean room. So that issue that gets created by not building them in a clean room gets even worse when you have dust clouds floating around site all the time. And I'm sure that anybody who's been out there can tell you that it's pretty constant having, just dust in the air. So the more concrete or the more dirt you get rid of, the less post cleaning they have to do on the inside of the vehicle. I've never actually seen them do it. Actually, I believe we have one time go inside of a booster with a power washer, but I'm pretty sure that's probably one of the standard procedures that they do after it's fully assembled, is actually going inside and like cleaning it somehow.
I could definitely imagine that in a few years, this entire site here will be concreted over. But that said, there will still be the wildlife area around. There will be the ocean right next to it. So there will still be dust and corrosive elements. And let's not forget wildlife. Insects, birds like to make nests. Wasps like to make their little nests. So there are plenty of things that could still happen and introduce foreign elements into the ships. So nowhere's perfect. Nowhere's a perfect clean room outside of, like, say, the NASA vertical assembly building. But that part of the reason they're building it this way is so that you can build it outside. Stainless steel is very, very forgiving, and it's a great way to go forward.
Definitely can agree with you there. And just to wrap up that question, like I said, I do have my own theory, but I will save it. You guys will hear it soon. I promise you that.
Speaking of questions, if anybody has a question, please type in the YouTube chat, !question. And we may save some questions for later in the show whenever we get to that point. Like if you ask a question about the orbital tank farm, we'll probably hold on to that one until we hit the orbital tank farm. But yeah, so if you do have a question about what we're looking at right now, ask away and we will get to it as soon as we see it.
There's actually a question for Mauricio whenever we get a chance.
Yeah, let's do it.
Go ahead.
Mauricio, 55 Chevy guy Steve is asking, can you give us an idea of the cost of getting these aerial shots?
Yeah, I mean, the cost on average, they're anywhere between $350 and $500, depending how long I'm in the air. So yeah, these donations definitely help. What that means, I think Dave did give a donation earlier. He mentioned 2 gallons, about 100 LL for the Cessna 172.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so what that means is we get to stay up in the air a lot longer than usual. So usually when I go out there, I plan out the shots that I'm gonna get, and if you follow us on Flight Radar, you will see us doing orbits around the site multiple times. That's me planning my site, planning out the flyover there. But so yeah, hope that answers that.
So have the prices actually gone up with I don't want to say inflation, but just general gas prices going up as well too? Like, do the flights get more expensive every week, or have they been lately?
I've heard about other rental places that have actually changed their rates just because of the fuel and the fuel going up a bit. But aside from that, it's the thing that went up the most was the fact that the TFRs are now 10,000 feet versus what they were before.
5,000.
Meaning that the Cessna 150 was not able to handle the 10,000 feet with such a low horsepower engine. We did reach the 10,000 feet at one point, but we couldn't maintain altitude once we opened the windows so I can take the photos. We had to abort that flight, and we didn't get any photos that time. So I was out, nobody got any images, and it was just kind of like a wasted opportunity. So from now on, we're using a 172, which is a higher horsepower engine, but they're also more expensive. The 172 aircraft is a lot more expensive to rent than the 150. So yeah, the flyovers did go up a lot significantly over the past few months. So yeah, everything does help. All the donations do help.
So if anybody's donating a Cessna 172. Mauricio will accept it. Is that what I'm hearing?
That's also what I'm saying.
So I actually have a funny story related to this because I remember the flyover that you're talking about, and the reason I switched back to this picture is because when Mauricio did that flyover, I was watching, I was tracking it on flight radar, because I think it was the first one after the new TFR started, and so usually Mauricio swings way out over South Padre Island, which is behind us in this view. I don't have the reverse view of this, but when I was watching Mauricio on flight radar, he was flying in circles. I'm guessing they were getting altitude and climbing, kind of like a tornado, just doing loops, getting altitude. And I think I was in a group chat with like 10 people, and we were all just like, "Oh, he's up at 95," and then he stayed there for probably I don't know. You were there for quite a while at 9,500 feet, and we were hoping that you were gonna get up, and we could tell that it kept like dropping back down to 9,200, and then you just turned around and went back home, and we all saw you abandon the mission, and it was pretty sad. I was like, I hope it's not over forever now with using that smaller plane and not being able to get up there. So I'm glad you guys were able to find one that was able to do the job.
Oh yeah, the 150. Some people call it that it has like a lawnmower engine, which is really that's really what it sounds like, and it feels like we're going extremely slow, and it really just depends. To get up to 10,000 feet in one of those aircrafts, it's just we were definitely pushing the limits of that aircraft. I've asked around to the pilots there at that rental place, and they've never taken it up at that altitude. So really, we're just experimenting whether we could do it or not. And we found out the hard way that we could. And I was out, I felt like I just threw away some cash just to go experiment. But,
You gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah, and we're not going back to 150 ever again. It's the 172 all the way. The 172 does take a little bit long. It's a lot faster to climb. It does take, but it does the job. I think it does the job pretty well.
Yeah, and if like I said, I really appreciate all the effort that it takes to make that stuff happen, and hopefully you guys do as well. If you do, why don't you guys go ahead and hit us with a like on the stream? That we definitely appreciate you guys for doing so, and thank you guys again for joining us today. Yeah, I wanted to talk about this. Yeah, go ahead.
1 second. We got a new member, Jessica Kirsch. Welcome to the RGV flight support family.
And GBJ, we have a couple of new members.
Oh, and Jim Cavett.
And also Jana Scout.
Oh, Jana Scout. Man, thank y'all so much. Man, Jana, Jim, Jessica, y'all are the best. Thank y'all for joining and contributing. And also, Yazada has donated $10. Thank you. We appreciate all the donations to keep Mauricio flying.
Thanks, Yazada.
So Yazada says, "I'm sorry, I can't afford the entire plane." We appreciate it.
$10 at a time.
So yeah, I saw they were working on the booster stand. They were putting plates on top. They've got the legs on the side, and and Mauricio had a couple of
one as well. They're like I say this every week. Even if there's no like major changes, usually you'll still see new equipment show up, which still is a sign of like things that are happening at Starbase. So I don't remember. I don't think we've ever had a booster transport stand, and somebody's probably going to tell me I'm wrong, but a booster transport stand under construction while the next one shows up. So it seems like they're really just cranking these out now, and I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, now this would be the fifth one, I believe. So that means we have 5 transport stands. Well, technically 4, since one is basically inactive because of booster 5. But maybe they'll do something about that one day. Maybe they won't. But yeah, I mean, we have 5 of them now, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's a 6th one after this. But here's the thing about that. If they are going to have so many of these booster transport stands, then you would think at some point they're also going to need a place to store more of them. And I don't think the high bay is necessarily for storage as much as it is like a workspace. So I would expect another, I don't know, an expansion to the garden at some point. But the other thing about that is, maybe that won't happen because, once they're actually flying them, obviously they probably won't be recovering boosters for quite a while. So I don't know, maybe there's a magic number of transport stands that they need in order to smoothly do their operations. And maybe, I don't know, we're up to 5 now, maybe we'll have 6, but I would expect to start seeing them also show up. Well, not quite yet, but at the Kennedy Space Center complex at some point as well too. Just getting those ready ahead of time. You might as well just start doing that stuff if you can.
How many boosters do you think they're going to launch and expend before they start recovering them or attempting to? My bet would be about 5 to 10.
I'm going with 3. If the chopsticks are ready, I think they'll start it pretty soon. As long as they, I don't think it's like they won't. It's not trying to catch it. I think that when they attempt it, they know that it's going to work. They won't do it until they know that it's going to work, because unlike Falcon, where you can, and even Starship, where you can just crash it onto the landing pad, you're basically crashing this into the base of the tower essentially if it doesn't work. So I don't think that they're going to be. They won't take as many chances as they do with the Starship and as they did with Falcon 9 when they were trying to land that for the first time. I'm voting for success. That's all I got to say. But
yeah, they're going to succeed one way or the other. It may take them a few more. I mean, they wanted to fly Mark 1 to orbit, and here we are, 2 years later, almost 3, and we're still chugging along and hadn't made it to orbit yet. So, Elon is very aspirational and he's a great leader. And, I enjoy his optimism.
I can definitely agree with you there. And I wanted to swap over to a ground image of this transport stand just so we can check in on its progress. It looks like, well, from the aerial view, we saw that all of the clamps were, I'm going to swap back really quick just so I can show that. From the aerial view, we could see that all of the clamps are installed. And that's pretty much what we were waiting for last time. We could see the pads, but they weren't actually installed last time, I don't believe. So now we actually have those installed. So this thing is getting close to being done in some regards, but looking at it from the ground view, you can see that they still haven't added the platform that's going to be up here. What are those, work lights? I think those are work lights. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean they've got the hydraulic piping. I think that's hydraulics set up for the clamps.
No, I think that must be conduit. That can't be hydraulic, is it? No.
I think it is. I mean, I can't tell where the. I'm pretty sure it is because, I mean, it does look like the hydraulics actually come from down below, but I'm pretty sure this rail, the whole rail is hydraulics. There probably is some conduit, but I've never examined that part too closely. All I know is that we definitely have hydraulics up here, which pull out those clamps. And as you guys can see, all of that is hooked up. So yeah, they're definitely making a ton of progress on this. I actually want to, now that I think about it, let's see if we can find the platform for this in the aerials. So if we look at Booster 5, which has the platform on top of it, I'm going to have to go to a shot that shows Booster 5.
And while you're looking for that, I did see a video yesterday where they were installing the very first platform on the Booster, probably 8 transport stand, or 7.
Okay, so
Yeah, they
I guess
started
that means we should be able to find it then. Yeah, you can see what that, I mean, it's kind of hard to actually tell how, like, where that platform is. I can see it right here, but it doesn't.
Yeah, that's it. And it rides on those little rails that you saw in the ground shot.
Semi-transparent as well too. It's perforated.
I think they started doing the platform yesterday. So it probably won't be in our aerials because our aerials were taken on Wednesday.
Oh, it's got to be on the ground.
Okay.
By the way, whenever you join us, this is our favorite part, is searching through all the piles of debris to locate the one piece.
I mean, GPJ, that's what it's about, isn't it? Deciphering what we see.
Right. It's the world's biggest Lego puzzle. And if you enjoy that, you're going to love this live stream.
Yeah, I actually do a lot of just really quick scrolling through here. It's hard for me sometimes during the stream to not zip through this like I do when I'm just going through them by myself. But this is a good time to say, if you guys are Patreon members or YouTube members, you can download the flyover photos for yourself and review them before the show. So that way, if you guys see something that interests you that you want to ask us about during the show, you can do so. And it gives you the ability to search through the images without having to worry about what I'm trying to look at. So,
And while you do that,
Yeah.
we actually had a bunch of donations. Jacqueline Jackstrix donated 10 pounds. Sharpie donated $10 and says, awesome in-depth detailed discussion, worthy enough. And Jana also donated 10 pounds. Or 10 euros was from Jackstrix. Sorry, I got my money confused.
you don't want to do that.
Right?
Um,
My bad.
And Rocket Prophet donated $10 as well. Thank you, Rocket Prophet. Every week, man, you're always the best.
They're all the
You know-
best, my friend. They're all the best.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it looks like we have both of the clamp arms are both in the Sanchez site now. I think they've both been here for. Actually, the one that was still at the launch site was. I can't even remember. I think it was this one, and it was there for just sitting on the ground for several months, and now it's here. I'm still surprised that we haven't seen signs of a new one, if there is going to be a new one. I think it could be being constructed inside the ground fabrication building right now, but maybe soon we'll actually see some signs of that. But yeah, I'm just scrolling through here right now, guys, because I want to make sure that I'm not missing anything, because I'm pretty sure not much has happened at the Sanchez site this week. So hopefully you guys won't hate on me for abandoning it.
We'd never hate on stage 0, Zach.
Hey, people were mad that I abandoned the Sanchez site last time. But
Well, while we're right here and talking about abandoning, there was some news this week that SpaceX may be abandoning plans to build an LNG plant on site. Do you suspect that that's a permanent thought, or that they'll revisit having a gas well and production facility at the Sanchez site?
speculation time. So for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, there used to be 3 of these. What are they called? They're basically LNG scrubbers. So they purify LNG into pure methane. And there used to be 3 of these here, and now there's only 1. They moved the other 2 to the Kennedy Space Center complex. And I'm actually surprised that they didn't move this one as well. To me, I originally thought, okay, well, whatever volume that facility is able to produce using 3 of these columns, they basically just cut it in a third, and they'll have something a third of the size here, and then construct the other 2/3 of it at the Kennedy Space Center. But I don't know. I mean, based on what they're saying, we probably won't see that here at all. However, in my opinion, I don't think this operation is. Well, if they want to do what Elon says as far as the launch cadence that they're expecting to have, the frequency that they're expecting to launch, I just don't think that having hundreds of tankers go up and down the road is the way to do that. And I say this, I've said this before, but I definitely respect all the environmental concerns and all that stuff. But in my opinion, having that many trucks go up and down the road is a bigger environmental hazard than if you actually constructed this facility here. So to some degree, I think some people just don't want to see it happen. But at the same time, you're not really having the actual environment. You're not keeping the safety of the environment really in the. How do I say this? This is a tough topic for me because I get really frustrated about it at times because.
I'll say this.
In perspective for you guys. Like if you have a pipeline, you build a pipeline here. Let's take it. Let's not talk about Starbase, but let's talk about a pipeline from like Alaska to Texas. The alternative to that pipeline is huge tankers, and that's an extreme version of this because here we just have little small ones, but huge tanker ships that have to go all the way from Alaska down to California to offload into smaller tankers just so that they can fit through the Panama Canal so that they can get up to Texas and offload all of that oil. Instead of building a pipeline, which you don't have to worry about oil spills in the ocean and all that stuff, you don't have to be consuming oil. Most oil tankers consume a very large percentage of the fuel they're carrying on the way to delivering it. So you don't have to worry about that either. Overall, pipelines are a lot more environmentally friendly as long as nobody's tampering with them. So that being said, I think that this operation won't be able to reach the level that they want it to without either that production facility here or a pipeline. So that's just my opinion. No matter what they say publicly, I think that we're going to have some sort of fuel production facility or a massive fuel delivery system to this facility at some point. So nobody wants to see that many trucks on the road.
That's exactly how I would have said it, is just that, hey, having a pipeline is necessary and it's the most environmentally friendly way of handling it. And, methane can be a renewable resource. You can make it with the Sabatier process, which is absolutely required on Mars. Here in the U.S., though, they have tons of methane or liquid natural gas plants and pipelines all around the Brownsville area. They're exporting millions of cubic feet of it to Mexico every month. So all they need to do is make a little spur or start producing it here. And the big if here is if this could be a productive well. To my knowledge, this well was never hugely productive, which is why it's not in use right now. There might not be that much natural gas down there to be had. Also, fun note, the reason the original area by the launch pad, where Launchpad Cam was purchased, was for a gas well for that too. It's a natural gas drilling lease is how SpaceX got that piece of property.
And mind you, it's not just the gas that they're saying they're not going to do. They're also saying they're not going to do the desalination plant as well.
Oh, I hadn't read that. Okay.
Yeah, they did include that in there too. And that was a little confusing to me because, I think that this right here is already desalination, but I guess in particular they were talking about at the launch site. I'm pretty sure that this is a well right here. If I can, let me search for this the right way so I don't have to scroll through all these pictures. This might be it. It is, yeah, we're pretty close to it. So, this looks like a capped off water well right here to me. And originally there were more of these frac tanks in here, which basically have, I'm pretty sure there was a multi-stage RO system, and you can even see some of the hoses still on the ground. It seems like it's not active currently, but it was before, and that's how they were filling up the water tank, which is right here.
The old SN2 water tank. By the way, RO standing for reverse osmosis.
Yeah, I think, I don't know. If they don't have water deluge, though, it doesn't really make sense to need that much water. And that's another topic where I don't fully believe that it won't happen at some point. I sure hope it does, honestly. As cool as it would be to see uninterrupted flames coming out of the booster, I just imagine that it's definitely something that's necessary. Every other rocket on the planet needs it, so I don't...
Hey, that first test fire is going to be lit. That's all I can say.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. So, continuing on, there's only one more thing I wanted to talk about before we move on from the Sanchez site, and that is, this is actually the first time I've ever finally seen this occurring, but now I can explain this. So when they're powering the generator facility, they leave these compressed natural gas canisters here, and usually the truck will show up, drop the trailer, pull it forward, pull the other one out, release the trailer again, connect to this one, and then back it in. It's really annoying the way they have to do it. But yeah, they'll just swap these out probably twice a day, depending on how often they're running this, which I assume is probably nonstop. You can kind of see right now that the exhaust The
Oh,
exhaust
wow.
flaps are open as usual, so it's definitely running currently. So yeah, they probably run through probably about two of these at least a day, if not 4 or more.
And I thought my gas bill was high.
It's
It is.
probably not that bad in the grand scheme of things, as far as like the what they would be paying if they were
Hooked
if
to
they
the
needed
grid.
all of that. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And this is a that plant, I looked it up earlier. It's a 12 megawatt gas generator plant.
And before we move away too far from the LNG well, there was a question from James Wilson. He's asking, would the feds or the state or both need to approve the LNG well?
I think it would be the Texas Railroad Commission, possibly.
Yeah, whatever
Is it-
their Department of Natural Resources is would have to approve any new wells. Yeah.
Is it part of the PEA as well?
Not that I know of. The PEA covers the, I mean, that's the launch site, right?
Yes, I believe so. So it covers the entire site because the entire site affects that environmental analysis, especially considering if they did build that site, that facility here, you would have to definitely include that in the report. So yeah, it's all of it is part of it. If that answers the question. What was the full question? I feel like
Question
the
is,
Dan asked.
yeah. Would it be the feds or the state or both who would have to approve the LNG well?
Basically, the state. That's
Not
delegated
federal?
to the state.
I thought it would be federal. Like you'd need different government agencies that were federal agencies. No?
No. So I work for my state, and I will say that our Department of Natural Resources does all of that within state lands. The only time we need to get the feds involved is when it's in international waters or in a national park.
Good to know.
Outside
Thank you,
of
GPJ.
that, outside of that, fully delegated to the state.
Why don't you just say that from the beginning?
Right? Save us all the trouble.
I kind of did, but then you talked. No.
No, we're good. So let's move on to the wide bay since Sanchez is being born this week. We have, as you guys can see, even more roofing complete now. It's I was actually confused about this when they first started it. When they were leaving, when all of these pieces were stacked up on the ground. If you guys can see it from this angle, if you don't remember what those piles of I don't want to call them roof paneling, but your roofing structure on the ground. What was that?
Checkerboards.
Oh, I was hoping you actually knew the name. Somebody's going to say it in the chat.
Oh, the
I want
joist.
the official name of these so that I can refer to them correctly. If somebody does know, please let me know as well. But yeah, so basically, the part that initially confused me was just the extra length that was on these. It kind of seemed like there was too many panels, but now you can kind of see that when they install them, they actually overlap a little bit. So when this is probably a better place to show it right here. They overlap quite a bit, and then they attach them in several locations. So yeah, definitely a pretty intense roof going on up here, which makes sense because it's super high up in the air. You got all the wind that's blowing up at the top. So
And this roof is graded, correct?
Not yet. So speaking of the actual roofing, down here on the ground, we actually have the first roofing panels which have been delivered.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so this is the panels. They actually are basically the same ones that are on the high bay. So you can kind of see that they're pretty much the same length. The only difference is that the high bay has it slopes to the front and it also slopes to the back from the middle, versus this one only slopes up to the front. So all of the water is going to come off the back of the building instead of coming off the front and the back. I've said this before, but actually I think you can even see it right here. There is I believe it's right here, a gutter for the roof, and all the water comes out of this hole right here, which is literally right next to the door. So I just can't believe I don't get why they didn't put the gutter over here. I wonder if I have a ground shot of that will show it actually. Let's see if I can find one. Yeah, I think I got one. Let's see.
And Perlins was the name you were looking for earlier.
Erlin's. Definitely didn't know that one.
I found it, and that is correct. It is Purlin.
You found it?
Yeah, I just found it on a Google search.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you found it in the chat because like 5 or 6 people have indicated what it was.
Well, groupthink at its best.
Thank you guys for your quick responses. That definitely helps us out. So we're not sitting here trying to Google stuff in the background. But yeah, so you have that drain right here. And like I said, currently there's no balcony on this, but maybe there will be at some point. So I don't know where I was going to go with that. I don't want to get too far into the whole balcony thing. But there also is some other weird things going on on the close to the top of the building, which we can see the start of here in the flyover. It looks like they're setting up some scaffolding, which is a lot different than all the other scaffolding they've used. So you can see the scaffolding that they use on the side of the building when they're installing the paneling. It has a little gate right here so the crane can lift the... where is he? This yellow work basket right here basically comes... they lift the workers up to their offices on the scaffolding platform right here.
And hats off to those guys. They are amazing at walking on those scaffoldings. I would be just clutching my pearls the whole time.
I 100% agree with that.
Now
on this side of the building,
in pearls.
No comment.
So on this side of the building, they you can see they installed temporary beams that they laid a cribbing basically across to create like a scaffolding platform when they were working on these side panels. But over here we have something completely different, and I'm going to show that from the ground perspective so that we can get a better idea of what that looks like.
Really love this shot. Yeah, it's just they're so high up. And what are they doing up there?
Yeah, these guys are setting up. This looks like the beginning of a concert stage.
You think?
No, but just the frame. The frame reminds me of what you see when they build those concert stages in like city parks and stuff like that. It kind of looks. It
does look a lot like that. Mauricio, have you had any experience setting up scaffolding like that before? Any idea what they're doing up there?
Not that particular scaffolding, but it sure looks like it, right? I was actually looking at them lowering some of the pieces down, or you can actually see the first guy there on the right.
Yeah. What are they lowering down there?
Lowering it down from the roof.
Yeah,
or from up top. Yeah. This is a very, very, very large platform that they're building, and it's definitely temporary. I mean, this is clearly scaffolding and not a permanent structure, but it's very interesting that they would need something this large on the side of the building. I mean, they're clearly going to do some major work to this area in general, which, who knows, maybe they'll install a huge SpaceX logo LEDs on the side so that when you drive into Starbase, you see the SpaceX logo on the top of this building.
Oh my God, that would be baller. I would love that. What do you?
Waiting to see one somewhere. There's another place that I thought they would put one that they didn't. And I'm still disappointed, but we got another chance now.
So I'll ask everybody in the YouTube chat to place your bets on what do you think they are going to be doing up there, because as of now it is a mystery to us.
Yeah, and we can see the roof structure from the ground a little better too now. You can see the way that these panels would overlap each other. And you can even see the bolt holes right here. There's they got them pre-placed in, so they put 2 bolts in each one, lift it up, and then once the other one is, I'm assuming they put 2 on the other one as well. And so once it's up here, they just have to undo the nuts and then reattach everything. So they typically will put like 1 or 2 of them in, and then keep installing these. And then after they're all up there, they'll go back and add all the other bolts. Actually, on this side, it looks like they've done all 4 on these ones. Let's see if I have a better shot of that.
Oh, hold on one second. Mauricio slipped one in on us and dropped a poll in the chat. I didn't see that. So everybody, or Mauricio, do you want to announce your poll real quick?
Yeah, so the poll is basically we're trying to shorten up the name Starbase Photography Review and just rename it. Maybe drop the photography portion of it and just focus more on the Starbase um, portion of it here. But we have 4 names that kind of just stood out to me. That were mentioned during from some of our Patreons. And if you guys have a minute there, just take a quick vote on what you guys think we should rename it to. And that's it.
Done and done. I put my vote in. I'm still sad Space X-Plane wasn't up there.
I only got an option to put 4. That was the next one.
I understand. Thank you for consideration.
Can't have everything your way, GPJ.
I know, I'm full of terrible ideas.
You are.
So wanted to point out one thing that I noticed last week, which I don't think I mentioned on the show, but we have ourselves another staircase right here. And we're actually working on a render of where this goes. I'm pretty sure, let's see if we look at the side of the building. Okay, that's not the side I wanted. I'm going to find a side profile really quick.
You know who also does the renderings? Is Cam, our special guest, who actually is here right now.
Oh, welcome, Cam.
Cam.
Hi, sorry about that.
Well, thank you for joining us. Better late than never. I'm always late to everything, honestly, so we're glad you're here. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Cam. I do modeling and such for ring watchers, but a lot of the time I'm just kind of around and helping out. Most of the time it's pretty simple and just tracking all sorts of rings that go around the yard every day. I say this is simple, and yet it isn't.
It's not. No, because I can't even keep track of the ones that are completed. So
right?
We're definitely a valuable service. We're grateful that you guys are keeping track of everything, because it's not easy with we don't have quite as many segments sitting in the ring yard. It actually looks like they're trying to clear it out to some degree. But yeah, it's not easy keeping track of all this stuff, especially if you're not able to see the labels. You kind of have to. Luckily, at this point, most people people, ring watchers in particular, can look at most of these sections and know what they are without a label, which is pretty awesome. I think we've definitely come a long way when it comes to figuring out what we have going on here.
Yeah, and a lot of that's thanks to Sam, just because he got all the charts down.
Yeah, they're definitely really awesome and much appreciated.
Mm-hmm. I saw the changelog from Jax just on one day's worth of ring movements, and it was pretty crazy. I think there were something like 20 entries just for that one day on rings getting moved around. So yeah, ring watchers, hats off to all of you.
Right?
Yeah, I wouldn't know where half this stuff is without all that.
Well, and the fact that they all participate, Jaxie, Rohan, Cam, they all participate in the conversations in all the servers. So it helps all of us all the time.
Yeah, I'm worried about what's going to happen when the Star Factory is built and most of these sections are within tents all the time. We're all going to be blind to some degree, but
the ring watchers will be out of a jab.
Oh wow,
yeah, we've been thinking about it.
So what are we going to do next? Yeah, hopefully that's not the case. And it'd be really awesome if they just put a transparent roof on the top of it so that we could be able to see it in flyovers,
Oh, that'd be super cool. So, Cam, I wanted to ask you, how do you use the Mauricio's flyover pictures to catalog everything?
Well, it's really a good example of visual detection for everything, just because we have the labels in place from the previous flyovers and various ground footage. And just using what we have to identify the parts from above.
Awesome. Oh, and what are we spying in here? What's that at the bottom?
There's a lot happening right here. Part of it is super confusing to me, and I'm glad we finally can talk about it. So first things first, in the entrance of, and I have a hard time calling it the Mega Bay because I don't like the way it sounds, so I'm going to still call it the Wide Bay. Sorry, guys. it looks like we have a booster display stand right here, in the entrance of the doorway, which I don't know. I don't get it. I'm really confused why it's right here. I mean, with how much space is in the wide bay, it seems like this would be the only place where you wouldn't have a workstation, which is, literally right in the doorway. But yeah, really confusing.
Are you saying that because of the
These
footings
pads right here, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm definitely confused about that. I actually think this is not for a booster. This is for a Starship. Because it looks like there's eight of them.
Maybe that's their initial landing zone, and then after something lands there, it's then picked up and moved by the gantry crane. Maybe that's that is.
Yeah, just like a good place to sit it down while you're lifting it into the bay. That is possible. Yeah, just almost like a loading dock where you're bringing the sections that need to get moved into there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the first place where the gantry crane can grab it and move it wherever it actually needs to end up. How many Starships do you think they can fit in there?
Well, Elon said recently in his tour with Tim Dodd that they would be able to have 12 workstations, I believe, which doesn't mean 12 ships or boosters. It means just workstations. So to put that in perspective, I think you could probably, in my opinion, do 3 or 4 boosters in there. So you'd probably have a station for the LOX tank, a station for the methane tank, a station for the aft section. The aft section of the booster. So, and then maybe one more for staging parts as you're bringing them in. But you could have just one common staging part. So maybe you could have 3 or 4 boosters, or 3 boosters in a ship, or something like that. It would actually be cool if half of the bay was for boosters and the other half is for just the final stuff that they do on ships. And I have actually reversed my opinion on whether or not they will be actually building ships in here, based on something I just noticed earlier today, which is these 2 pieces right here. So we actually saw these near the ground fabrication building. And, well, technically they're still there. So I'm going to go over there really quick, and so we can understand why I'm bringing this up.
By the way, Zach, I'm always amazed. I mean, to me, that's just a black square, and there are a lot of them out there. So I'm interested to see what you discovered with that.
Well, we have another pair of them right here.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe they are, just with their proximity to this structure, probably related to this. And so this is, well, we really don't know yet. It could be something to hold like welding robots, possibly for loading Starlinks into the Starship. And to me, that seems like the most plausible one so far. And with that being said, I imagine that if that is for payload, for loading payload onto the Starship, I'm kind of thinking these may be related to actually suspending this up in the air. So stacking these on top of each other, and then sitting this on top of it, and you have this back wall connected to the wall of the wide bay. Because this right here actually looks like a walking platform on the back of it.
Interesting.
So I could even imagine like an elevator attached onto these, something that would actually set this back down on the ground so that they can reload it with Starlinks, and then it crawls back up into the air via these. And well, we don't know what's on the backside of it. So right now it just looks like not a flat plate, but it just looks like I don't even know how to describe it. But it's definitely a box there, but there are also 2 of them. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. With them also being outside of the wide bay, I am now convinced that this is going to move there. And actually, now I think about it, they're definitely the same thing, but the dimensions on them look slightly different.
These
It might just be
right?
the perspective.
It's probably just the perspective.
You think so? They look thinner.
Let's see if I can. Yeah,
where's Thomas when you need him?
Let's see if I can find
no.
better angle on that.
You know, Thomas was saying that box, what you thought was the walking platform, he was thinking it was an awning.
Yeah, I mean, well, there's a doorway right next to it. So if I go back to that picture, I'm glad I got these organized this way so we can bounce back and forth because this works very well for my ADD.
Mine too.
You do a good
So-
job of it too.
So we have, I don't know, this looks, let's get on the back side of it. Okay, that's not the back side. So when we look at it from the back side, there is a doorway right here. And so inside of the wide bay, there is both stairs and an elevator. So I could imagine one stairway coming up and connecting to this, and then the other stairway on the other side being the one that goes up to the roof, potentially. Sorry, delete that. Wherever this is positioned, so if it's on the ground or if these are related to like some sort of elevator, once it gets up in the air, you would probably need to get on the wide bay's elevator and get off and walk onto this platform if you wanted to access what's ever on the inside of the box. But yeah, to me it looks like a walking platform just because of the fact that there's a door there. But yeah, I mean, this entire structure looks like it's supposed to be cradled by something, in my opinion, because of the way that it sits on this frame. And I'm going to search for another view once again.
I'm dropping some ground ones for you into the.
I don't think I'll be able to see the bottom of this frame. You know what? I wish I could see this from the ground. Actually, we need a pole cam for that. But you can kind of see that it almost looks like a massive forklift could come and slide up underneath this. Not SpMT. Yes, it's clearly made for an SpMT also to slide under here. But from this side, it almost looks like I'm just imagining a forklift mounted to the. This is not the right word for it, but basically forks mounted to the side of the wide bay, which can go up and down inside of the building and lift this structure up and down. To me, that's what I think I'm seeing here. But yeah, it's still a tough one, and it's been a mystery for like what, I don't know, almost a month now.
Do you think it might be two rails and they might lift it up with the gantry crane to load up?
I thought about that as well too. Using the bridge crane to lift it up when you're installing the Starlinks, and I don't know. I feel like you want something that's more rigid. Obviously, you're not going to have much wind inside the wide bay. That's pretty much what it's designed to prevent. But you know, it is as simple as a little gust coming in and swinging it back and forth, and then all of a sudden it just slams into the side of the ship, and we've all seen what that does. Well, I guess it's not on the tile side, so it wouldn't be as big of a concern. But I feel like something like this, you would want to hold it very steadily in position, especially if you're going to have people inside of it at some point. Yeah, this is going to be a tough one, and I think it's going to go back into the wide bay. And let's go back over there actually, because we had a really good view inside of it, and we were talking about something really. Oh, this is not the right one. Sorry, guys.
That
There we
is
go.
another good shot of that box there.
Yeah, and looking at it from this side, it does look like it's about the same size, but yeah, as far as what it's for, again, still a mystery. Oh yeah, let me get back to the image where we were looking into the entrance of the wide bay. So the structure that was originally inside of this tent right here, the round structure that we saw being
Manufactured?
yes, is now inside the wide bay. It's in this first corner, and it's hard to see much detail about it. But you know, my speculation about this was that it's related to installing engines. I don't see how that would work unless this. We're gonna have to go to the back side of this in order to show it. We are all over the place today, guys. See if we can see it from this image. Yeah, there we go. So this little ring-shaped thing right here. I'm imagining this disc going. The other one sitting in the middle of it, and then you place your engines around the disc, and when you set the booster down on top, you're basically installing all of the engines at one time. And if that was the case, then it would make sense to me for it to be as close to the front of the door as possible, because you don't want to have to wheel your Raptors all the way to the back of the bay. Like, you would probably just bring them in and install them in the closest spot right here. So there's
Yeah, that would be a very efficient way of installing them. Any chance you think it might be something like a turntable or anything else?
Well, I believe we have a turntable sitting right here.
Okay, that's the turntable right there.
I think so. It's tough to tell because we've never seen these things. I mean, it still looks like it's inside of a box. There's another one of these that looks very similar at the Sanchez site. And when I swap over here, it's basically sitting right here in the bottom of the screen. It kind of looks similar to this one, which we also believe is a turntable. We've never seen it out of the box, if this is a box or if that's the actual structure itself. I really would love to know what it looks like. But yeah, it seems to me like we have one of those sitting inside the entrance right here. So,
oh wow,
I think it looks like a turntable.
You have a good eye.
Well, I think Mauricio actually enhanced this a little bit in order so we could see it. Did you alter this image, Mauricio?
Very little. I mean, there's the raw images. They do carry a lot of information. You should have seen how it was before. It's just completely black. But if I'm hearing correctly, that piece right there on the left, that's the same piece that was under the tent to the right.
Yeah.
Okay. Because when I was out there, I couldn't see it anymore. I was trying to figure out
where it went.
Where it went. And there's another piece. I don't know if you've got the ground images there to show, but I think there's a smaller ring.
Yeah, actually,
yeah.
Thank you for reminding me of that. Let me grab that ground image. And while I'm doing that, Mauricio, I have an idea, and I don't know, maybe I shouldn't say it on the stream, but I will anyways. We can't really see inside the wide bay that well. I'm sure you guys have all noticed. And the only solution I can come up with is a nighttime flyover.
Whoa.
Yes. Please.
Oh my god, that'd be so cool.
Literally only for the purpose of seeing inside of the wide bay.
You know, one of those.
Not even an option.
I've actually gone out there close to sunset to do a flyover. I think it was maybe 30 minutes before sunset, and it just makes it pretty difficult to get some detailed shots at night, just because those that know about photography, the ISO has to go up a lot, and your shutter speed has to be constant because the plane's jumping around. So I haven't thought about it. I haven't tried a nighttime flyover, but
well, the thing about the wide bay is the lights in there are insane. It's so much better lit than the high bay. I feel like that might help out. Like I think I feel like you'd just be able to see every detail in here. I'll pay for it.
Yeah, it's worth a shot.
Next paycheck goes to Mauricio. Cover the whole flight. I don't care. But yeah, with that being said, let's see if we can see it from the other angle too. I think somebody was asking about engines, correct? When I looked at this image the first time, I could have sworn I saw one. There's another angle in here.
I do love this angle. Shows how they stack the tents on top of the shipping containers.
That's about as close as I got to being able to see in there. We do have a frontal one. Yeah, initially when I looked at this, I thought that this right here is a Raptor engine. It's really hard to tell, but that's what it looks like to me. Yeah, just a guess. Not really 100% positive on that though.
Yeah, they're super fast at installing those with or without that structure, which kind of makes me wonder if they're doing it so quickly. Well, I don't know. They did it quickly with Booster 4, but then it took forever to hem up everything else.
Yeah. And you know what? Actually, do we have any questions related to the wide bay while I'm
Yes. Not so much the wide bay, but a couple of other questions about the box and also the staircase. So when you showed that initial staircase saying that they were building
Yeah,
it,
I just
Fal
remembered it.
yeah, AA Falcons was asking where the staircase going. We got a little off topic and never actually addressed that
You
piece.
asked. Thank you guys for bringing me back on subject because, as I said, I have some pretty bad ADD. So, we have a few random. Okay, wrong direction. We can see them right there. Random staircases
Oh.
down here.
Hold on, I think you're on the wrong screen there.
Yeah,
Zach.
sure I am.
Good call,
It's
GPJ.
all good.
Yeah, I don't actually watch what I'm streaming. I just
There we go.
yeah, here we go. So, you can see the two sets of stairs that are sitting out here, and they're not identical, even though they look so from this angle. One of them is shorter than the other, and I may even have a ground image of that, but I'm not going to do that yet because I'll probably get distracted again. So we have two sets of stairs, which probably are going to go inside of the wide bay. The thing about that is there is already one set of stairs, which we've mentioned on previous episodes, and we originally thought it was going to come up through the floor here, but it hasn't done that. So it actually stopped on the level of where this rail is. So it's a full floor underneath the roof. So with that being said, you guys can see that the way that the spiral, I'm pretty sure that this right here mounts onto the top of one of those staircases, basically. So this would be the platform that connects directly to this part of the staircase. And then it would come up to this hole right here. And so I actually owe somebody, I got to eat some crow because I did not think this would be the case. And there we go. So you can see this hole right here, which they haven't actually cut it out yet. They're still got the paneling down there. So if you look at this stairway right here, it's just about the length that you would need to get from the corner up to here. Wow. So I think that's what it's for. I'm surprised there's not another one, but it does make sense because there isn't a second set of stairs yet, which is something I think that we will also see. And so that's a weird question for me because I would think that the other one would also need to be in the front of the building. However, there is this huge hole right here, which maybe will end up being for a second elevator, but we haven't seen that yet. So it may be identical on both sides, but I'm also expecting a walkway inside of here along this level because that would give them access to the bridge cranes. So I don't know. That's one of those things that's going to be really tough for us to see once the paneling is up here. But maybe Tim Dodd will be able to get us some information on that one day when the building's complete. Or Elon will post a picture from inside of there. One of the two.
Or somebody else will leak it somewhere along the way.
Either works for me. We don't want leaks, but
I want leaks. Yeah, everybody send Grandpa Joe all the leaks.
Oh no, please don't.
Oh my gosh.
Please
Very
don't.
confidential.
Yeah, I don't. I like figuring things out for myself, but it definitely adds more fun when you're able to just deduce it from the imagery with the little bit of evidence that you have. So, yeah. With that being said, I think that's pretty much everything that I noticed surrounding the wide bay. Unless any of you guys had something you want to talk about. Cam's been awfully quiet. Do you have anything that you've noticed about the wide bay?
About the wide bay, not too much. That's like
Or just this area in particular at all.
Well, I don't know. That's hard to say.
Let's switch over to the ring yard then. I feel like that's more your
Before
style.
we go to the ring yard, can we ask one more question?
Yeah, do it.
Okay. Before we do that, I wanted to thank Jim Cavett for his $5 donation and Jens Krabby for the $100 Danish krone donation. Both are very generous, and we appreciate you both tremendously. The question is from, I want to say Starwolf. Starwolf. He'd love to hear, or she would love to hear what everyone thinks about the mystery box being painted white.
Personally, I think it'll be gray. Sorry.
Wait, being painted white?
Yeah, they
Why?
started painting it white. Actually, it's probably all painted white now.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, that's interesting for multiple reasons because everything um, at Starbase has an assigned color almost in a way, like the types of structures. So um, everything that's related to a bay is this dark grayish color, and everything related to the launch tower is a specific color, and same thing with the launch mount. They both have their own color tones. So it's kind of easy to identify where they're going to go based on the color of them sometimes once they paint it, which is kind of how we knew. I'll just jump over here really quick. Oops. Jump over to the launch site briefly just to explain this point. So that's kind of how we knew that these were for the launch mount, is because they're the same color as the launch mount. And it's funny that it's as simple as just being like, oh, well, yeah, it's based on the color. But it really does happen like that. So yeah, based on the fact that it's now white, I'm even more confused.
Could be primer, no?
Yeah, very, very much so could be. But yeah, so we're at the ring yard now, and definitely not my specialty. So I'll let, if Cam has anything that he wants to point out over here. Obviously, we have ship 24 and booster 7 in the high bay. Let me see if I can get a better angle of them.
Hey GB, just before we jump in here, but just wanted to let you guys know, thanks to Rocket Profit for the $100 PayPal donation that he just sent a little while ago.
Wow.
I definitely appreciate it, and that's it. Champ,
Oh, and our
you're
very
up.
own Technodino donated $10. He says, love the thumbnail this week. Keep the pics coming.
Sorry, I was just sitting here trying to find something on the ground images. But yeah, so one thing I did want to just mention really quick, because this has been I've been noticing it more and more lately. I mean, most of us have, as far as seeing new SpMTs being delivered. And originally, I think we kind of assumed that the red ones would be going back to Fagioli, which is the company that rented them out to SpaceX. But they're still here. They've cleaned them, so I think that's what kind of led people to think that they were going to be sent back. Let's actually slide over, and we're all over the place, like I said. But let's go over to the BFC shed really quick, because I just want to point out how many. Okay. I don't know if that one's going to work. There we go. And I shouldn't call it the BFC shed anymore because it's gone. But
The C part of the BFC, you mean?
yeah, when we look, oh my gosh, there's so many of them. So you can see that they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 power packs just over here. There was 4 of them at the build site in front of the high bay, and I don't think there was any at the launch site. So that's 10 of them in total. Plus, they basically can form a unit train with the with all of the sections of the. I don't know what you call these sections. I know you call this one the drive unit. I'll just call them a trailer for the purpose of this. You basically form a train out of the. If you connected all of them together, it's definitely a massive amount of SpMTs. Again, another sign that things are about to step up. Like, I mean, obviously they're not here just to look good for us in the flyovers. So I'm expecting to see these things get extremely active within the next month, especially once we get approval from the FAA. So, yeah, back on topic. The ring yard.
I feel like this is Cam's territory. I don't even want to talk.
Yeah, please do step into my parlor.
So let's see, that's SN16 off to the left in the yard itself. Of course, to the far left is booster number 8's methane section. So, and correct me wherever I'm wrong, Cam. This is what we're counting on you for.
Yeah, will do.
So,
everything.
What do you think about ship 16, Cam? Do you think they're going? I mean, right now you got Grover parked next to it, like he's ready to get to work disassembling this. It hasn't happened yet. Do you think they're just removing parts and maybe they may replace the nose cone just to move it somewhere, or do you think it's done for?
I'm not too sure.
Yeah,
I think there's definitely a future for it.
I hope so. I mean,
'Cause parts like that have stayed around for a little bit, so we don't know what they're really planning.
Yeah, it's definitely a tough one. I mean, it seems like they removed all of the major components from here, like the Tesla
Batteries,
battery, and obviously the COP's
motors.
got taken out of the nose cone. Yeah, is the nose cone completely gone? I don't think we saw that near the wide bay.
I saw the nose cone with the COPVs hanging out of the bottom of it near the scrapyard, but that was last week. I'm not sure about this week.
Yeah, I think it may actually be completely gone now.
Actually, there is one COPV next to the 21 aft.
Still sitting over there. Let's see.
Yeah, it's in the section below it.
So like Cam, the thing I'm always wondering is, they keep some pieces around forever. Like there's a Mark 1 aft flap that just is chilling out.
Yeah, and the Sanchez site.
Yeah, it's been there for like what is this, 2 years now?
So the nose cone was over here, correct? So she's completely gone?
It's a magic trick. Where did it go?
Into this truck?
Oh no.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't notice it at all earlier. I actually forgot to even look for it. So there's something interesting in this image that I wanted to ask about, actually, because I'm a little bit confused. So when we look at this ring section right here, it has the tiles missing on the back, and I'm not really sure what section this is.
That is the mid-lock section for the ship. So that's between the aft section and the common dome.
Are there sensors on this section that go here?
That's kind of what I believe, but it could also just be that's where they weld the brackets for the downcomer.
So they don't want to have anything on the back. So whenever they make the welds, it doesn't impact the heat tiles.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Here it is from the other side.
I love how you can just absolutely in 3D almost fly around here. Oh, it's like we are flying around. Thanks, Mauricio.
Yeah, this is, and I even want to see if I can get just that more like isometric view of this. Let's see. I don't think I have one.
Yeah, you gotta love all the deep dives you can do with these pictures.
Yeah, this is I mean, dude, you know what's amazing about this is just how clean this looks. I mean, and obviously we're super high up, but I mean,
no, you went robot there, Zach. If you can hear me. Oh, okay. There you are. You're back.
Sorry about that, guys. That would be a tragedy. 1 second. So, where was I? This is the payload section for also ship 25, I think.
No,
this is the old
Pathfinder.
That's the big door Pathfinder.
Okay, see, if it was just me here, I would be giving you guys false info on that. So we still have that Pathfinder sitting out there, even though for some reason they haven't scrapped it. And this would be a booster tank section right here, I believe.
Yep, that's one of the aft tanks. They haven't finished it yet.
Yeah, so you guys can see that they've started putting up the stringers on the inside, but they haven't finished it yet. Hopefully it's not like abandoned or something. I'm excited. Oh, I think we actually, inside of one of these tents, we were able to get a good view of the aft section of the LOX tank for one of the boosters. Let's see if I can find that angle.
While you're looking for that, we have quite the little donation war happening. Or not war, but competition. We've had $10 donations from Rocket Profit, from James Wilson, from Sharpie, $9.99. We've had a 10 Danish crown donation. We've had £10. That's from GJ Motorsport. We've had the Sharp Baby donating 10 pounds, and then Jackstrix donating 10 euros. It is a madness here. We love it. Thank you, guys.
Yep. Thank y'all so much for keeping Mauricio flying and keeping these pictures coming in. Without y'all, he couldn't do it and we couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
I thought that I'm gonna have to ask Jackson if he has a picture of it. I thought we were able to see the aft section maybe inside this tent, but it doesn't appear so. I think
check the other side of the tents. Typically, they store them in tent 1.
Yeah, let's go to the backside then.
You know what, Cam?
Figure
You're
out
all
which
right.
view.
We're going to have to keep you around for a little bit.
Figure out which view that's going to be. This is a tough one. Here we go. Okay, that's wrong. All right, so this might be as close as we're going to be able to see in there. And there she is.
Yep.
So this would be booster. Is this 7 or 8's aftome? It would be 8 or 7 then?
No, 7's aftome is already installed on it. It would be 8's.
Oh, wow. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, I meant 8. I was thinking 8 or 9, actually. Sorry. Yeah, I mean, this one looks relatively complete. I mean, it's hard to really tell just through that little gap. But from what we can see, that I don't know if that's the completed one or not. But yeah, hopefully we'll be seeing that move to the high bay soon, or the
high bay.
The high bay, yeah. Being in this side of the tent, I would imagine this section may actually have to. They might be able to roll it through the 2 of the tents, or they may actually have to transport it out on the road. But yeah, I'm definitely on the lookout for that, and it'll probably happen about the same time that the scaffolding comes off of that transport stand at the Sanchez site. So whenever Jessica's on her way out there, Mauricio, whoever's visiting, keep an eye on that. Oh, what?
Yeah, Zach, I'm always worried that I'm the one slacking, and I'm like, where's the aft thrust section for SN8 or Booster 8 been hiding? What's your spot there?
I think there's another one of those. Let me see if I can get a better view of that.
Looks like it for sure. While you're looking for that, we also just got another couple of donations. One from Starkover for $10 and another from Sharpie for $9.99. Thank you both. You guys rock.
Thank you.
Very large amount of steel. Yeah, we got some pretty major stuff under construction in this building right now. If I could see inside of any building on site, it may actually be this one, because I think all the most exciting stuff happens in here. But I thought we were seeing another one of these boxes right here, but I don't think that's what it is down here. It looks like they could make one out of it, but I don't think that's what it is. So that being said, I'm going to go back to where we were.
And Zach, Jessica Kirsch just stepped out and she asked, "Hey, what did you need a picture of? I missed it."
Oh, I was telling her next time, she goes out there, she happens to see scaffolding coming off of the booster transport stand, to definitely let everybody know that we're about to get some B8 stacking.
Yes. And you know what?
We're waiting for.
Real quick shout out just to all the guys on the ground out there. Mauricio goes out once a week at least. Jessica, she practically lives out there. Cosmical Chief with What About It? He's out there all the time. Just there's so many great photographers that just stay out there and help keep us informed. So, man, my appreciation goes out to all of you. I really enjoy watching your stuff every day.
I can agree with that 100%. It'd be tough to have any idea of what's going on out here if we didn't have access to that stuff. So I'm equally grateful every single day that we get a live stream. So
yeah. Oh, and real quick, Mauricio, how has it been out there on the ground? Is it warming up? Are the mosquitoes coming out just yet?
Oh yeah, the mosquitoes are coming out. It's that time of year again, and as far as the heat goes, it's unbearable at times. So I try and go out there be out there for at the most about an hour or two, and then just back in my truck. It's the South Texas heat is not a joke. If you go out there, take proper a proper hat and good hydration, and you should be good.
And some highly reflective boots are always a must. Maybe some white Cajun boots.
Yeah, I'm hoping one day all of our streamers are able to get themselves like Teslas or something like that, because to me that's like the perfect. I know Jessica wants one really bad. The perfect car to have if you're out there like that. I mean, if you got a sunroof, I think they can run like 72 hours on a full charge, running the AC. So that would be like pretty much perfect for being out there sitting in the car. That's also the lazy way. But yeah. Anyways, getting back to what we were talking about. I think we've seen this before, but for those of you who haven't, I believe this is actually it's a quarter platform, almost like a third, but it rides on an elevator up and down the inside of the building, and so the inside wall, and so it travels up and down. So that's how they're able to do work around the ship. They basically just turn the ship instead of setting up scaffolding all the way around it. And I imagine they may have something similar like that in the wide bay, and that's kind of what I'm thinking. That mystery box over there would ride similar, like something like these rails mounted onto those boxes that I showed before.
It's such a big, heavy box. I'm almost I'm kind of from Missouri on that one. I hear you and I believe it, but I'll really believe it when I see it.
Yeah, me as well. Sometimes I'm not even convinced of half of the things. It's just you got to have at least a theory so you know what to look for.
Right.
So that's how I catch most things, is just assuming that something's going to happen, and then I look for signs of it. And more often than not, it usually ends up occurring. But I just get disappointed occasionally.
I just figured it out. No, I have a slightly improved theory. Maybe is if you turn it on the side and put it on rails going up and down the side. And then the top of the box becomes the side, and you can insert Starlinks or whatnot from there. There you go.
Yeah, I'm. I also want to see some Starlinks show up to the Star Factory. That would be another sign of something pretty major. I don't even know if we'd recognize them if they showed up. But yeah, it would be really cool to see those actually start to be stored at Starbase, so that they can integrate them into payloads when they start to do their first launches. Obviously, I don't think they're going to be including them on the first launch. That would probably not be a good idea, but as long as stage separation and second stage ignition occurs and they actually make it into orbit, I think after the first time they do that, the very next time they should be having a payload, because and I've said this before, it doesn't really matter if you don't re-enter when it comes to releasing Starlinks. Like, if it doesn't matter, you can lose 20 ships in a row, but you can have 20 successful Starlink launches in the process of trying to nail down your reentry. So,
and the lovely Miss Hirsch says there's already one Starlink on site.
Really?
What? I don't know if she means Dishy McDish face, hers, but there's definitely a Starlink.
There is one Starlink on site. Yes,
the best one.
The best one for sure. Yeah, keeping that live stream going. Sorry, I almost moved away from the Star Factory before we even talked about it. So as you guys can see, we definitely have some more wall work happening. It kind of looked earlier in the week like there wasn't much work happening because we didn't see anybody on this side of the building. And with this wall up, you can no longer see, obviously, through the building. And it appeared that there was not as much crane action, which, in my opinion, there still wasn't. I think they've been focusing on all of this smaller stuff and putting the walls up. So the rest of the expansion of this building, in my opinion, seems to be going by relatively slow. But obviously, there's probably thousands of bolts that need to be added in here because none of this stuff is welded. So it definitely makes sense why it takes so long. But yeah, they're making a lot of progress trying to get these walls up as quickly as possible. I think once the walls are up, the limiting factor would be having the air conditioning units installed, and that would make it so they could start moving stuff in there and have a livable workspace that's not just ridiculously hot.
Zach, if you could zoom out as far as you can to an establishing shot, I think it's kind of informative to see the difference in size between Star Factory there and the tent.
I have a better. Let's get a better perspective then in that case.
This thing is big. It's really big, and what they're going to build next is going to be even larger.
Yeah, I mean it's. Sorry, I'm scrolling through here on another screen trying to find the best perspective of this.
Yeah, just remember to jump back, otherwise we don't see it.
Sure thing. Here we go. So you guys can see that the Y Bay, the Star Factory is so far appears, in my opinion, to be the size of 1.5 of these tents. So with that being said, once this is complete, they could, they probably won't do it this way, but once you take this structure down and move everything in here, you're only going to be occupying like 2/3 of the building, most likely. So, but once they finish this one, the second section of it, they should be able to remove both of these tents, because then you have, I believe within just this space right here, you'd be able to fit everything that's in all 3 of these tents currently. And so that would mean that they would be able to take both of these tents and do that entire remaining portion all at once, which is going to be awesome when these disappear. Honestly, I'm excited to watch. That's going to be one of the most major changes to the site, in my opinion, in a very long time. Obviously, the wide bay is a massive addition, but seeing these tents go away, I think is going to be one of the cool time lapses that we're ever going to have of the site.
If you look at the ground images, that far left tent, they've already started to take off, disassemble it at least halfway through. The one on the far left.
10-4.
Yeah, let me. I do have a ground shot of that. Actually, this is the wrong one, but I'm going to search for it. Nope.
It would actually be on you're going the wrong way. It would be that one, but there's a better angle if you scroll to the right. You can just leave it there if you want, but
Yeah, I will see if I can find. Oh, is it from the backside?
it's from the mud flats. So you're almost there.
Boom.
Go.
There we go. So I'm going to use this one instead. Yeah. Definitely seen better days. It's weird because they just moved it over there. You know, I guess I don't know if they're dismantling it or if they're going to replace all of this, but it seemed like they just replaced it anyways. So yeah, that's a bit confusing in my opinion. I'm not really sure why this building would come down already. Who knows? Maybe the stuff that was stored in here will actually be some of the first things stored in the inside of the Star Factory, because this building, in my opinion, kind of seems more like a storage building and not necessarily an actual like constant work building, like the tents. And while I'm on that subject, I wanted to I want to go back to it because factory. Yeah, I mean, if they are taking this down, then I would imagine this may be the first one. The contents of here could be the first things inside of here, which would be weird. But it would make sense for this to be combined into the Star Factory, because you wouldn't really make sense to have a random tent out here when you have so much floor space. But we will have to wait and see on that one. Sorry, I was looking through the ground images to try and see if there was any other ones that I wanted to show of the inside of the building from the ground view. Let's see if I can find that shot. And I don't.
You're talking about Star Factory, right?
Yeah, I just found it.
Okay, good.
All right.
There we go.
Yeah, so here we can see that view from the front. And yeah, I mean, this is I really like the way this looks on the inside, and it's definitely coming a long way. And you can see how tall this structure is too. It's it definitely looks a lot bigger on the ground, in my opinion, than it does from the air, as far as the overall height goes. But yeah, I mean, they're definitely moving quickly. You guys can see like how many bolts are on the side of these, how much they have to do when it comes to. I bet you if you stand near the site, all you hear is impact guns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Just
so
constantly.
what did we decide the ceiling was at? Maybe like 50 feet. Maybe a 4-ring stack could be built in there.
I think it goes from it increases
Right. It
5
does.
feet over the entire, like 5 feet or so over the entire length. So I think it went from, I can't remember what we said last time, 50 to 55 or something like that. Yeah, it's gonna just continue getting taller in my opinion, but we'll have to. Oh, that reminds me actually. We do have a really cool render from Lolamatic and Too Legit to Quit, who are actually
Yeah.
still ahead of SpaceX when it comes to assembly on this building. So this is their render. And as you guys can see, they actually just did a little edit on it to get rid of the white on the floor because it was kind of you couldn't really tell the floor against the walls because they're so white. But yeah, you guys can see the little entrance on the side right here, all the panels up, and they even went as far as to add all the little ceiling supports. This is amazing. Now they got to go back and add all the bolts in because I think this whole thing's going to fall apart without them. But it's definitely really awesome. I love that they're keeping this up to date, and they also have some renders of inside the wide bay, which I've shown before, but this is an updated one showing from the. Actually, is this the updated one?
Wait,
Yeah,
was that the one where we all thought it was real for a second?
that one. I think I still have that saved up here somewhere, but yeah, that was from the inside of floor of it, and yeah, this is amazing. You
Wow.
can see. I think. Where's the stairs? Are we missing stairs? The stairs would be
Stairs are
In
on
the
top
corners.
that's the elevator though.
right. Well, they'd be on the top left then. You can see that cutout.
Yeah, I think there's there's a set of stairs here, and the actual elevators. There's an elevator here, and there's scaffolding back in this one. This perspective is throwing me off a little bit, I admit. But yeah, this is amazing. I love being able to see what is this, 7 boosters would look like. Maybe they wouldn't have to take up this much space because they all wouldn't be on transport stands. But if they were, you can kind of get an idea of how many of them they'd be able to fit in here. Let's say there's a hurricane or something, and they're like, "Oh, get them all in the wide bay." I don't know if they could do that because they have like permanent workstations on the floor, but you guys get the point. So, going back to the Star Factory, yeah, I feel like that's pretty much all there is to talk about over here. And I just realized we're approaching the 2-hour mark, so I should probably make some moves into getting us
Launch site.
further through this show.
Well, while you do that, we also want to thank Rocket Prophet again for his $10 donation. He just donated another, well, a little bit earlier. He donated another $10.
Thank you, Rocket Prophet. Always amazing as usual.
Yes, thanks,
And
Rocket Prophet.
with that being said, I haven't mentioned this in a while, but if you guys just joined us, thank you for being here with us, and really appreciate if you guys are able to hit that like button. It goes a long way into just helping us out with the YouTube algorithm. And yeah, we appreciate you guys being here every week. And Mauricio, did you have a wallpaper yet for this week?
Not yet. Let's see. I probably will. I'll probably just send out. The only wallpaper I have is the one for Sunny. If you guys want a picture of him, there's also another one that might be a good option, but I'll see what I can put together here.
Cool.
Yeah, the flyover shot right at the end of the roll. Yeah, that one was great. I love that one. Maybe we can end on that one.
Yeah, you'll have to tell me which number it is because I've mixed and matched all these pictures into different folders. So the original order is all screwed up on my side. But yeah, this mystery box we talked about a little bit at the beginning of the show. We didn't go too deep into it, but looking at it from Mauricio did another barrel roll over the top of it. We can see that they've started adding a few things on the inside. There's a structure in here which, to me, doesn't appear to be actually connected to the rest of it, but they're definitely still doing work in there right now. Here it is from an even better angle. It's really tough to see what's happening here, but yeah, I mean, they've kind of closed off this hole, which throws off a few theories as far as like Starlink's coming up through the middle.
I don't see anything, Zach.
Oh, okay. I did it again.
Still on the Star Factory.
Here we go. Apologize, guys. So we're looking over at the top of it now. And you can see on the inside of it, this is the structure that I mentioned that they added onto the inside, which kind of closes off this hole in a way. If there were going to be a system to elevate Starlinks up through the hole so that it can then come out the front side into the Starship. So the mystery has gotten even deeper, I would say. Not any closer to figuring out what this is.
So what do you think that is, Cam?
I really don't have a good working theory on it, honestly.
All right then.
Most of these mystery structures, it's just they keep changing every other day.
Yeah.
He models
Personally,
them. He doesn't actually speculate on them. He just models them immensely well.
Now, for my bet, I don't think they're going to load it this way. They've got trebuchet on site. They'll just launch it up that way. Done.
Gotcha.
Get
Easy peasy. Yeah, usually there's a lot more going on around here, but this is a pretty large building. There's always tons of stuff happening in there. And as I mentioned last show, this is my new favorite spot because all the fun stuff happens here lately. There's a bunch of stuff underneath these covers right here, which we still haven't seen, which I'm hoping are also some interesting parts, which they're just trying to not have us see yet. So maybe we'll get even more stuff moving to the launch site. We've have a bunch of pieces that were outside of the launch site, the ground fabrication building last week, get moved to the launch site. So they appear to be additional covers for it. Oh, what's that? Okay. Sorry, I'm just noticing all these things in here. These are some very, very large embed plates. They're bigger than the ones that they use for the boosters, but wow. That's those are gigantic. I wonder where those are going to go. So we have, in my opinion, they're definitely doing a lot of prep work for the Star Factory. There's all kinds of cranes all over the place. And overhead cranes. So this would be an overhead gantry crane, I believe. And this may just be a load spreader, but it could also be have a crane attached to it. And that's actually one thing I wanted to mention about the Star Factory floor, which I forgot to talk about before, which is, initially when they poured the floor, we kind of thought there was going to be these posts for the walls on every single one of these
caissons, or what do you call those?
Embeds. They're embed. They're embeds, steel embeds for mounting. You basically put it in the ground. Sorry, put it inside of your concrete framework, and then once you pour the concrete, it's like sealed into the ground, and then you can mount the steel on top of it, like you see right here. But these are the main posts, but there's all of these smaller ones right here, which are also in the middle of the building. They're kind of hard to see right now with the roof on. Maybe I can grab them from a different angle. Yep, there you go. So you can see them all over on the inside of the building. I'm pretty sure that these are the workstations. So you probably would have either, I don't know if this is a like four-legged gantry crane, or if you would maybe have one or two gantry cranes that transit over the entire length of this, kind of like in an assembly line, you know what I mean? But to me, I think that's what these are for, is for mounting those cranes. And you can see if that is the case, there's going to be a very, very large amount of overhead cranes, which is something that I believe we should expect. And if that's the case, then this is probably not where they're going to be storing the Raptors. This actually looks like a ring section manufacturing area instead of what I initially thought it would be, which is where they would probably store like Raptors and just do the initial welding of the single ring sections. But yeah, we will definitely see what those end up. Well, maybe we won't because they'll put the roof over the top of it. But yeah,
And
that's what it looks like to me so far.
Those
So
little
if this
squares
is
you were
what-
talking about, they're called cast embed plates.
Ah, thank you, Indian Star.
Thank you,
So if
Shark
this
Baby.
is where, thank you. So if this is where all the rings are forged in secret, should we name this place Mordor?
It's a good one. I like it.
Does that make you Gollum, GPJ?
Oh,
Well, I was that before probably, but let's not get into it.
all right. So I think we're kind of wrapping up with the build site area. I'm going to do just a quick little. Actually,
So there's a question about Star Factory before you move on.
yeah.
What about the rail system inside the Star Factory to move the stacked rings? Craneman's asking.
Say that one more time.
What about a rail system inside the Star Factory to move the stacked rings?
Yeah. So the gantry crane or the bridge crane, if they have one inside there, could definitely be used to lift the rings and help stack them. I think that would, if I were building it, that would definitely be a feature I would want in there. And it's kind of the same situation they're using in the Tesla factories. You have overhead cranes that pick items up and just carry them along to the next station.
Matter of fact, I'm probably going to rewatch the some of the videos of that facility because we probably get a good amount of information as far as what this one's going to look like based on how the inside of that one looks. But yeah, there's a lot of interesting things out here which I wanted to touch on. I don't know what most of them are, but I believe these pieces right here are for the interior of the booster thrust puck.
Yeah, those would go in a circle around on top of the thrust puck, which makes up the kind of support structure for the pipes.
So the skirt or the actual thing that they've been putting around it to protect it?
Yeah,
Well, we have. Let's see if I have. Oh, they moved it.
Oh,
they moved both of them.
Okay.
What we really need is a 3D render of that. Do you have that on you, Cam?
I've got one without those parts. Unfortunately, I hadn't gotten to modeling them yet.
Now that we have, well, we guess you can't really see it that well from here in order to figure out what you need how to model it, but it's at least a start.
Yeah.
so are we thinking that these are B7's engine skirt pieces? Because
No, these are for the actual thrust puck.
Yeah,
Okay.
these go inside of the tank, so they're on top of the thrust puck. It's kind of like a little platform.
Mm-hmm.
We do have, if somebody's able to find the image from a few weeks ago where Mauricio took a picture of the thrust puck from the side, that might be helpful for us to kind of show people in the audience what we're talking about. I don't know if you guys may be able to find that. I would look it up, but you guys know how I get when I'm distracted, so
You have enough to do. We'll
I'll rely
find it
on
for
everybody
you.
else. Sorry, 1 second. Getting back to the right chat channel. So, just in case that image happens to appear in there. But yeah, so I think we may be wrapped up over here unless we get that image here soon. I think it's actually from 2 weeks ago. So hopefully somebody's able to find that. And I kind of mentioned this before, but there's a lot of scrap around site, but outside of this building, most of these things aren't scrap. They're all typically going to be used for something. So they got another pretty massive structure that requires these huge plates under construction inside that building right now. It'll be pretty interesting to see what comes out next, because I feel like every week something interesting pops out of this building. So definitely be on the lookout for that. With that, I think we're kind of wrapped up in this area. What do you guys say?
Yeah, Mauricio, did you have anything else you wanted to cover while we're here?
I think we're good. We can move on to what's next, the launch site.
Yeah, we can. I'm just gonna stop by the old BFC shed quickly, just to make sure that We're not missing anything over there. Oh, yeah, we have something happening over on this side right here. So this is really, really confusing to me. If you guys saw last week, this is actually a concrete pad that's right here. So this is a concrete pad, and they put this. They put a whole bunch of dirt on top of it, and now it looks like they're going to pour a huge slab here. And it's weird because it's almost like a casting. You know what I mean? So like, this is something that you would do if you were like on a way smaller scale, going to like cast plastic or even aluminum or steel, like pouring it into a cast structure. And they have even little like footings here. Originally, when I first saw this, I thought that maybe they were going to construct something that would be a really thick floor for crane parking. So we haven't seen them build the actual crane parking lot for Marvin yet. And at some point, they're not going to have a need for him to be at the launch site all the time. So he'll probably have a parking lot at some point. And I think this could be a good spot. I don't know. I mean, they would have to build another road, a path to actually get him up to here. But with how reinforced this is kind of looking, I think it may be a chance. This is just very weird, the way that this is being constructed on top of a concrete slab. If anybody has any ideas on this, you should definitely throw it in the chat. I would say this is definitely the second biggest mystery happening out here right now.
And that thrust puck you asked for is in the chat, thanks to Jax.
I feel like Jax is slowly losing his touch. Old Jax would have had that one like an hour ago.
This Jax just joined us. That's why. Otherwise,
Oh,
he
you heard
would
me
have.
summon him. All right, I take it back, Jax. Sorry. So here we go. Thank you. We have the thrust puck from the side, so you guys can see it. So what people normally see, I believe, that comes in on the truck is this top piece right here. And so all of this stuff on the side, these brackets right here, are what we were seeing from the aerial view, which actually is what turns it into a puck. And then I believe there's a plate on the backside as well, too. So yeah, hopefully that cleared things up a little bit if you guys were at all confused. But yeah, let me hop back over, wrap up at the BFC site before we go on over to the launch complex. Yeah, I mentioned before, tons of SpMTs, nothing really new there. And truthfully, nothing really new anywhere else. There's still some continued expansion. On the expansion on the volleyball court over here, which I'm going the wrong direction.
I did see the volleyball court, and I don't know if it was my picture or the perspective, but it looked like somebody had drawn some very skewed lines.
Yeah.
This is drinking volleyball only.
Yeah, I mean, definitely some weird boundaries they got going on over there, probably because they don't have the aerial view to help them out. But now they know. I bet you one of these sides actually has a greater area than the other, so somebody's probably cheating here.
I like the little Adirondack chairs off to the right there, chilling out on a fireplace. There's giant Adirondack chairs there too. And then there's the little fire pit area. So yeah, if anybody wants to go work for SpaceX, apparently in between working their employees very, very hard, they treat them very well.
Yeah, but you notice nobody's actually playing volleyball.
They're busy building rockets. I forgive them.
That's my point.
They're busy building the court.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we got come in here at night afterwards.
Looks like we have an observation deck for the volleyball court as well. So, yeah, people shout rude things at you when you're losing. So even they need an aerial view. It's better for the audience. With that, I think it's time for us to move over to the launch site, guys, because it is just after 2 o'clock Starbase time. And yeah, I think that is when we typically hop over there. So let's go ahead and do that.
Mm-hmm.
Before we get into this, do we have any more questions that you wanted to bring up, Indy?
There were a couple of questions, but I'm not too sure what they referenced. Senti had a question about specific photos, but he's.
I
I know
think
you.
he was trying to get the thrust puck. That was those two photos.
Gotcha. Thank you. Yeah. So then we're good. Please carry on.
Cool. So
This is the part I'm excited about today. So right there in the center, you've got the Raptor transport or install stand for out at the build site. But to me, I think the interesting thing is all the preparations you see going into the test campaign that's coming up. They've got the just above there the thrust puck thrust simulators with both the center Raptors for the Starship upper stage and the vacuum Raptor thrust simulators. And they also have had several deliveries of liquid nitrogen to the suborbital pad that feeds this pad. And to me, that means they will be very soon mounting a Starship to this pad A, and they will be cryogenically testing it and then hitting it with the thrust simulators and checking it out. Then after that, they'll have to install some Raptors. What do you think, Zach? And you're on mute.
He says it'll be great. I totally agree with you, JPJ.
sorry, I had a cough in
Thank
the
you, Zach.
background.
I appreciate
Apologize, guys. I was having a little coughing attack right there, so I had to mute myself. Yeah, I think within the next few weeks, potentially even next week, we might see Ship 24 come out here. I don't know if this QD is fully complete. They definitely have mounted it, but I don't see any of the actual flex hoses up yet. And now would be a good time for me to try and find a ground image of that as well.
And until you just showed this image, I didn't notice the all the work they were doing on that little mini berm for the testing area. There, it looks like they're getting ready to put some rebar and concrete on it, maybe make it a little bit more permanent.
Yeah, we briefly we've mentioned it a few times in the last few episodes, just trying to guess whether or not there was going to be concrete on both sides or not, and it looks like that they've gone for the route of actually covering the entire thing up. They've even built a little curb right here to run into it, so you can see that they have more piles of rebar, obviously, and the reason that they pour them like this is because you only have to frame them out once instead of twice. So you set the frames down, you pour the concrete, and then once the concrete is dried, you can take the forms away and use the actual concrete as a form instead. So that kind of allows us to go a lot faster. And I'm pretty sure that a lot of these that they've actually poured at least the first 3 already.
Oh wow, they move fast out there.
Yeah, they're busy every single day. I think I have an image that might show it. Man, I'm going crazy in the background here today, guys. I don't know if this one's going to have the angle.
Yeah, before you mentioned that they could use the sides. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, so in the ground image from Mauricio, you can see that the concrete has been poured on 1, 2, and there's probably a third one over to the side that I can't see. And they've also begun to add the rebar here. And you can kind of get an idea of how thick these pads are. And they're also, another interesting feature, built to not slide. So if you guys can, and by that I mean like, if you can imagine that if they didn't have the curb down here, let's go back to the suborbital view. So if they didn't have this curb down here, then potentially these could slide down. But as you guys can see, they've kind of dug these little trenches, if you will, on each one.
That'll help keep it from sliding going forward.
Yeah, and you can see it even more from that ground view that I was showing. You can see that little trench, basically, which would have it. You would have more concrete in the middle to stick out, and then basically stop the slab from sliding.
By the way, all of this construction gives me so much more respect for civil engineers and all the thought that has to go into all this stuff.
I can agree with you 100%. Yeah, I've never done civil engineering. I've done lots of construction work in the past, specifically like mechanical work, HVAC and plumbing from the project management side, and also structural steel, but definitely no civil engineering. So a lot of that stuff is foreign to me to some degree. But so it's kind of cool to see projects like this, because then you get to watch it step by step and kind of learn a lot along the way. But yeah, that's gonna look really cool when it's done. Finally getting rid of a little more dirt. Always exciting me in that regard. And yeah, I don't think there's too much else on the suborbital stand, but
no, just they got to finish up Ship 24, and they have to finish building out that new QD, and maybe a couple more loads of liquid nitrogen, and then I think they're ready to begin a really good test campaign. Following that, they'll have to install Raptors and then do some static fires. And yeah, that. So if all that takes a month, that would be putting us close to July. So if Glenn Shotwell and Elon Musk have promised us a launch this summer, that gives them just enough time to get it integrating and start launching.
Yeah, I agree. I'm really curious. There's a lot of tests that need to happen with Ship 24. And just to list a few of them, obviously you have your initial cryo test, then you have your puck shucker test, wet dress rehearsal, static fire, but you also need to do a full stack test so that they can finish certifying the rest of the tower, since they've made a bunch of changes to that. So I'm interested what you guys think will happen first. Do you guys think static fire will happen? You think that they will have it ready to static fire before the tower's complete and they're ready to do another full stack test? Thoughts? No?
Sorry, I was reading chat and my ADD got me. So what tests are coming up? So on the booster side, I mean, after you get integration and test out the upper QD, you're also going to have to, before that, static fire the booster. And you're going to want to do all the outside ring static fire, and then you're going to want to do all the center Raptor engine static fire, and then a combined. Or they may just YOLO it and say, let's do all 33 engines at once. And that would be very dangerous, but also very, very impressive.
Yeah, I would definitely love to see that.
Yeah. But after the ship and booster are both fully fueled and tested, wet dressed, then they'll have to integrate them, wet dress them together. And then at that point, fix all the problems and get ready to launch.
We're getting close for sure. I think there's definitely been a Starship recession lately, and hopefully it's about to end, and we'll get all that excitement back. And yeah, I feel like, even the audience has shrunk, and I want to give like a really big shout out to people like Marcus House and Felix for on the like media coverage side, like the journalist side, like keeping people interested. It's really hard when there's nothing happening. So, big shout out to them for, being able to continue to cover it in a way that like helps people get through the times where nothing's happening. And yeah, I hope we're doing our part in that as well too. So.
Oh yeah, they definitely help keep the excitement going, and the community at large too. I mean, that's what I'm mostly here for, is all the wonderful people I get to chat with on a daily basis, you included.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, it's wonderful.
I feel like I left out the ground photographers, but I it definitely would not be able to happen without them either. So, hopefully you guys are also supporting them as well. I mean, people like Jessica and Starship Gazer live streaming. It's definitely not easy being out there this time of year, especially with how hot it is. So definitely support them as often as you guys are able to, because it definitely goes a long way. We need coverage from the ground as well as from the air, pretty much every day. So we definitely appreciate everybody who's out there doing the hard work to make that happen. So moving on. I wanted to. This is actually funny. We've talked about this for a few weeks now, guessing what this was, and we assumed it was a fence gate. And I think after Mauricio landed, they actually moved. They moved them, and they're now installed over here, I believe.
Oh, your cursor slightly off the screen there.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get another angle, anyways.
So not a gate, but
Yeah, hold on. I'm actually gonna have to swap to the tank farm view so that we can kind of see that area a little bit better.
I do like this shot.
Okay, well, that was a different gate. You guys can see here that there actually is a. Well, I can't fully tell if there's a gate on here or not. It looks to me like
Yeah.
yeah, you can see it right here.
There's two gates. They meet in the middle.
So with that being said, if the other one is a gate, it'll be interesting to see where it goes. We kind of were maybe expecting a gate in the front of here. However, thanks to some ground images from Mauricio, we can tell that they actually did something else instead of putting a gate here, which was install what are known as bollards. So these bollards that you see in the ground here are typically removable. You can see that they've drilled cut holes into the concrete to attach these into the ground. And yeah, basically these, as you can imagine, stop vehicles, or they're meant to stop vehicles from accidentally driving through here into the tank farm. And I still am expecting a fence, but I guess this is. It actually wouldn't make sense at the same time to have a fence because you'd constantly be opening and closing it, given how many trucks are in and out of here. But yeah, this is interesting. It just adds a little bit of a challenge when you're backing in that truck to not hit one of those poles. But usually they have a spotter anyway, so it's probably not a huge deal.
So Zach, tell you how we do it at our work is we have retractable bollards that are hydraulically controlled. So whenever somebody presses a button, they all the bollards lower down.
Oh man, that would be really cool if that's what these
I know,
were.
right?
I don't think they are, but it would be really cool. And I actually, there's a good friend of mine, a good friend of the show. His name's Lawrence Peach. He posted a picture of some of these in his home country. I think he lives in, where does he live, Indy?
England.
But I can't remember exactly where he lives, but the ones that are retractable, a lot of times they'll put signs next to him letting people know, don't follow the other driver through the gate because you drive through, and then it'll come up, and then you have to wait for it to go back down again. And then if you tailgate somebody through it, then all of a sudden your car's 4 feet up in the air. So he actually posts multiple pictures of cars in the air because they got trapped on these things. But yeah, I don't think these ones are retractable, as cool as that would be. But
I've seen some videos of that, and it is hilarious, and probably really scary if you're in the car.
Yeah, I would not want that to happen to my car for sure. So going back over to our aerial view.
Yep, good old Booster 4 there, and Starship.
Needs to go somewhere though, right?
Oh yeah, time to scrap him.
No.
Oh yeah, man. It's just an object. It doesn't have feelings. It's not going to be used.
I don't know, you guys. We're about to get dislikes on the show. Hopefully, you guys don't dislike the episode because of that. I think a lot of people are seriously emotionally attached to Booster 4. And I don't know. Hopefully it'll end up in the Rocket Garden, potentially take place of 5, but we will see. I mean, I don't know. I love the way this thing looked when it was in the air, and we'll never see it again as far as this design. So I would kind of hope that they leave it around so that we can, like see the progression. So every new version of Booster, they leave at least one of them inside of the Rocket Garden, which at this point it seems what they've done so far with like getting rid of 16 because they have 15, which is the same. But yeah, I guess we'll see hopefully soon if there's any movements at the Sanchez site that indicate where it's going to go. But yeah, for now it's just parked here, waiting for a new home. And as you guys can see, We have some more progress on this building as well too, which we still don't know what it is. Mostly probably just a more storage or like an actual, I don't know, imagine like a cafeteria or something like that.
Oh, that'd be very nice.
Yeah, just a covered space for the employees, basically.
It also would be some good office space. They have a lot of engineers that are driving back and forth all the time, so it might be a good spot for them to hole up. But yeah, it might also just be a great place to put in more control structures and I don't know.
They do have these server racks sitting here, which still haven't been used anywhere. And I just forgot about this hole that was in the dirt here. So we have all the electrical conduit that they've dug up so that they can access it. It doesn't look like they've actually done anything with it yet, but they've also dug up all the way to the entrance over here, across the entrance. And it's been a while since the last time I've been out there. I haven't noticed it, but I don't think this area looked damaged or any way. I don't know if maybe they weren't happy with the way that the drainage was working, but last time I saw it, there was no water pooling up in this area anymore when it rained. So
Good.
I'm not really sure like what they may be doing, or maybe actually
they have spent a lot of time on that one area. So here's hoping they can get it right.
it never stops. I mean, it's there's been a lot of alterations. This area I think has seen more changes than pretty much anywhere else, where they completely build out something. I mean, we had a berm here at one point. They got rid of it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. The mini berm. Yeah, they replaced it with this. And obviously they've done the entire road, as most of you know. But yeah, I don't know what they're doing over here. It could be if we're expecting a gate. If these potentially are for a front gate right here, they may need to dig down into the ground if they want. Just the construction of this gate could require them to actually like dig into the ground over here for some reason. Especially there's actually conduit down here as well too. So if they need to access that before they install the gate.
I'm just surprised they didn't install parking on the far side of the road there. So many people want to go to the beach right there.
Yeah, I agree. If there's a gate here, I think it'd be cool if they allow people to actually walk up to it, since they don't have to worry about them crossing into the facility. You could actually just walk up to the gate and be able to look into the facility.
Mauricio, we've hit 400 votes. Do you want to end the poll and see what the results are, and we can share that with everyone?
Sure, let's go ahead and see. Give me a second while I close up the poll. There. It looks like Starbase Deep Dives was probably at number 1. Wait.
Drum roll, please.
Starbase Deep Dives at number 1. Starbase this week with 30%. Actually, it's a tie between Starbase Deep Dives and Starbase this week.
Sounds like we have a runoff next week.
Might get a cease and desist from CSI Starbase if you go with the Starbase Deep Dives.
Okay. All right.
Oh man, I like that name. We'll probably have to have a runoff next week to see what people like. And if you guys also have other ideas that you want to pitch out there, let us know. The name that we currently have is a little bit long, but that's why we're kind of looking for different ideas of renaming it, just to put a little context. But so I guess we have a tie currently between those two. How are we going to settle the tile, Mauricio?
I think I'm going to do another one on Twitter. I'm going to do another poll. We might actually do it again next week to announce the final winner on next streams with another poll.
Cool. We'll be on the lookout for that. So moving on a little bit, where are we? I don't think there's too much more happening over at the suborbital area, so I'm going to hop over to the launch pad where there are some new updates where we got some paneling that's been moved over here from the ground fabrication building, and these look like they're going to be some more cladding for the launch mount.
Do
And
you think those are going to go on the inside of the legs or outside or both?
I think that these are going to go on the inside.
Help deflect the blast from the booster launching up.
Possibly, yeah. I mean, I think to me, I think they're upgrading them. I kind of have a longer explanation, which in order to explain it right now required me to like bring up a bunch of other images. So
I'll take it. I'll take your word on it then.
Yeah, I think it looks like it's going on the inside of the legs, but it's interesting the way that to see these from the air. It looks like they've done some alterations on them from when we saw them roll in. They look a little bit different on the edges. I'm imagining that if they do go on the inside legs, that they may have to actually embed these in the concrete a little bit. So you'd have to cut the concrete, slide them in, and then weld it onto the column, and then add your concrete after. But yeah, I mean, they're definitely very large, and just the way that if you look at most of the areas on the launch mount, I can't really find any other area that those would fit other than on the inside. So yeah, that's just my theory on that. And now while we're here, I just noticed.
Yeah, I just noticed a bunch of like spider web right there. What is that?
This we've talked about this a few times. We've seen it from the ground angle. And so far, well, we have a few theories. So one of those theories is related to trying to make sure that all of these clamps are releasing at the same time. So if you were during a launch, all of these clamps are going to release within, a fraction of a second, and then the booster is going to be off the pad. So if for some reason, they're not synced up and some of them are still engaged while the booster is actually trying to leave the pad, then you could run into an issue, pretty big one. So, and it may only be for a fraction of a second that happens, but that fraction of a second is long enough to either break the clamp or break the whole arm off before it releases. So there's a possibility that by hanging, this is kind of hard to see. So they've hung this structure in the middle, has a bunch of wires attached to it, and what I see is it dip down and come back up over the clamp. So if this was like when they tighten this down, I'm imagining maybe some sort of sensor in here that can detect when this moves. So like when the clamp releases, it's basically would time all of them to see like how in sync they are, and they would make adjustments that way. I can't really think of any other way to perfectly sync them up other than doing something like that. But it's really tough to say, and we're pretty much just guessing on this one. And that's all the only theory I've seen so far that kind of makes any sense.
GB, you're saying it's for eyeballing it? Because if you look, and this is what Cam pointed out the other day, is those white or clear lines, they go to the edges where the white dots are on the back panel, yeah?
Yeah, they do.
So
yeah, and
it's for alignment?
I don't think it's for alignment. If so, that would be very interesting because of how long it's been since this was installed. If they were still having alignment issues, I would be pretty surprised. But it is a possibility. I mean, I still see, to me, this wire is actually making contact with the top of the clamp. And I'm imagining like a trip sensor, like once the clamp is actuated, by touching the wire, it would like trigger that response. You know what I mean? Like imagine like a green light lighting up once this clamp hits the wire. So you would, when all of them release at the same time, you would basically then have actual data showing how far off the timing is in between them. So if you need to adjust the timing in order to get them to all open up at the exact same time, then that could be a way of doing it. But as far as the alignment stuff goes, I don't fully understand how this would help with that, so it's hard for me to kind of speak on that one.
Okay. So that's not a person laying on that level, the deck or anything, right? Like trying to eyeball it?
Right here?
Yeah, the white hat, whatever that white space is. If you take your arrow and go straight up, that dude
right here.
to the right, actually. Anyways, neither here nor there. I was curious if it was a person or not.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like it. I'm not sure. It's from this angle. We've kind of seen them on the ground, looking up at this structure into the middle constantly as they're doing whatever they're doing. So, yeah, I mean, it's tough to tell, and you can see these guys down here actually, right in the area of where the clamp is.
Yeah. And the one on the right
Um,
looks like it's hooked up to the drawer itself.
yeah,
Oh,
this
there's
is
two drawers there.
one of those things where I cannot fully explain, so it's hard for me to
I
talk
apologize. I'm
about it.
like harassing you
No,
about it. I'm
you're
sorry.
fine. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, so we also have, we mentioned the cladding over here. I'm sure most of you saw, and it's actually just visible back here. A huge cover that is very similar to the one that's on the top of the um, launch mount, and I do believe we have some ground shots of it, so I'll search for those in the background. And also we have another angle of this. So this is actually a good one right here. So you can kind of see how large it is. It's about the size, a little bit bigger than these trucks. And that would basically go over the back of the, here's a ground image to show. So it should basically cover up the flex hoses down here. And
That was a question I had. I wasn't sure if it was going to cover up those flex hoses or if it. I heard somebody say it might have been or there might be a replacement for the box on top as well. Have you heard anything about that?
I don't. It doesn't look like that to me. It's a that would be a major undertaking to take that box off. I think they would have to unhook all of the flex hose in order to do that.
Oh no!
And you can see in this image, there used to be. I don't know if this is the right view in order to see it. I believe you could see them from this view originally, what I'm talking about, and maybe this one's a good one. There were actually the lifting eyes that they used to attach the crane to were still on the structure about a week ago, and now it appears that they're gone. So they've removed it, and now it's like a flat face here. And I think that the piece that we were looking at basically will go over and cover all of the flex hoses. So if they do that, I would expect them to do cover everything.
Man, this thing is thing is a beast. Yeah, if they're covering all that down there, then you might as well cover all the sides as well. Yeah.
I mean, one argument is they have this little umbrella here for to protect this stuff.
Yeah,
but
not
in
enough.
a way, the top of this kind of does the same protection for the flex hoses. I mean, it does stick out a little bit further, I guess. But yeah, I mean, like I said, if you're going to cover up this, I'm assuming they're going to cover up all of it, including everything down here as well too. So all of this would probably be, I mean, especially down here. Yeah, you don't want your insulated piping just getting direct flames like that, I guess. I mean, it does happen on the suborbital tank farm, I think. Maybe I'll have to grab an image of a suborbital pad, actually.
Yeah, I mean, the last thing you would want is some of that flame going over the top, curling around and frying all your hydraulics, especially as the hydraulics are attempting to release the ship.
Yeah. I was looking for the insulated hoses on here. I don't see them actually. Oh yeah, this test stand is still under construction, so it's not going to have it yet. Yeah, so you guys can see the QD plate on here, which is missing everything else. It's just the plate. But that's not going to really help me answer that question. But yeah, overall, just in general, I think that we're going to see them protect all of this stuff. So it's going to look really cool. I mean, it looks cool now, but once all that stuff is finished, I think it's going to look even more cool. While we're out here, speaking of things that are getting lots of changes done to them, we still have the QD arm missing those claws, as we mentioned before. And they have some scaffolding set up on the opposite side, which Mauricio has another view of. Man, I'm always going the wrong direction.
I'm glad you
Boom.
said that. I wasn't going to.
Yeah, we got some scaffolding set up on the arm right here, which is interesting. I think they're working on these pipes, all their hydraulics down at the bottom. They still haven't cleaned this up, just leaving it hanging. But I believe there were actually more of them hanging down here before. It seems like there's less of them now. Yeah, this thing is amazing. I really want to see them complete it and then get back to testing. It's cool though because, as Elon mentioned, the whole launch tower is a prototype, so it's subject to change. So it's really cool that something this large would just be altered within a few months, and then it's a whole different structure. So yeah, it's really still a work in progress, and I don't know. I'm excited to see it finish so that we can get the next full stack and get one step closer to actually having a real full orbital launch. It's been too long. It's been over a year since the last launch, right?
Has it? Yeah, it was what, May 15th was the launch of SN15. God, it has been almost a year, hasn't it?
Yeah, I can't take
It's
it.
been beyond a year. It's the 21st today.
Yeah, it's pretty insane. I mean, it's kind of sad, but as long as they're actually making progress and getting everything. I mean, a lot of the changes that I've seen them make look like ones that are necessary, specifically related to the pipe work on the inside of the tower. So we can go ahead and move over to there too. And we're not done with aerials, by the way. I will hop back over to those.
I do also want to throw out there that whenever we were discussing this back in May of last year, that we were hoping for October, November of 2021 for a launch. And then by November of 21, we were hoping maybe by summer of this year. And, well,
And now it's
we
looking
shall
like
see.
it.
Yeah, it's
July,
looking pretty
baby.
good.
July.
Yeah. Well, actually, we were thinking, hey, hopefully it might be by January or February. But anyway, July will do just fine, too.
I sure hope so, honestly. It's stressful not having that action going on in the background. I feel like a lot of people lose interest at times, but the true fans, like you guys, are always still here and waiting for, just like us, for things to pick back up. So, yeah, as I was mentioning, most of these changes that they made seem super necessary, like adding this filtration system in here. And as you guys can see this week, it finally looks like it's getting closer to being done. They've added in like several valves, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 valves that you can see in the red right here. So this basically allows them to control the flow on either side of this, because it like comes up as one single pipe and then it splits off into two. And then these right here, wow, you can even see the model number on them. These basket strainers right here, which are basically one-way filters that allow them to stop any particulates from entering into the Starship. So this would be for the LOX side, and there's a smaller one back here for the methane tubes. And you can kind of, due to the size of these, like tell which one's methane, which one's LOX, because there's obviously LOX is going to be way larger. But yeah, so there's also, I think this is kind of confusing me. I've been talking to a few people about it. It seems like some sort of pressure, like possible pressure relief valve. So like if you stop filling the Starship, you're going to build up pressure inside the pipes, so you have a release for it. But it also could be just like the this might be what leads to the purge valve also right here on the side of the tower.
Yeah, I like the big honking motor on top of that little valve there.
This one?
Yeah, that one right there.
Yeah, that one's it's crazy because this one is much larger over here. These are
Oh wow, you
gigantic.
lion. Yep, cryogenic steel. It's can be tough to turn from time to time.
Yeah, this is I mean, so once this is finally complete, we'll see them do some sort of test on the tower, but they're going to need to do a full stack test in order to do the full certification for the system as far as commissioning goes. So that's an important step, which is definitely going to have to happen soon. And hopefully after that we finally get the cladding on the tower. But yeah, that's still a work in progress. I've been waiting to see that happen for the longest time. I'm surprised they haven't at least done the backside of it. But yeah, I guess I wanted to go back to that aerial view. And with also with 20 minutes left in the show, I want to make sure that we've gotten to all of the questions as well too. So, Indy, do you know if there's any questions that we've missed?
We actually have a few questions. There's one from not Tom B. He asked, do you think that Ship 24 will be tested at the ship cryo area before it goes to Pad A?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Yeah, that's something that we missed before as far as things that need to happen. What do you guys think?
I think if they have a lot of liquid nitrogen and they're ready and they already have the thrust puck or thrust simulator puck in there, then might as well just take it straight to the test stand A. That's how I would do it.
I mean, I agree with you. I think test stand A is the place where all the action is going to happen. I think they'll do cryo before they do static fire, right? More than likely.
Mm-hmm. You'll do cryo and thrust simulation, and then after that, you'll take it down, or you'll take out all of the thrust simulator rams, and then you'll put in the engines. Actually, Indian Star, do you think they'll have to take down Ship 24 to install the engines, or do you think they can do that, the vacuum Raptors on there while the ship's in there?
On the test stand A?
Test stand A. Yeah.
It's a good question. If test stand A is big enough, yeah, maybe.
I'm trying to remember. They did test the vacuum Raptors, but I can't remember. Oh, I do remember. They were installed in the high bay.
Yeah. Well, they also installed them at the launch site itself because the first time they took ship out there, they were knocking those Raptors together. Remember? We saw the bells.
Yeah, I actually personally watched them install some vacuum Raptors while I was out there. I think you were with me.
I was?
I believe this was during October. They installed the Raptors on Ship 20 at the launch site.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I had some really cool pictures of that. I guess just to chime in on this a little bit, I've just realized something as well that may kind of explain what we should expect to see, considering just the progress that's been done so far. So I mentioned that we do not have a fully connected QD on the test stand A yet, but we do have one on the staging pad. So similar to what they did with the booster, where they put it on the launch mount to do the cryo test, and then they did the puck shocking over here. I think that we'll probably see the Ship 24 show up here first and do a cryo test here while they're still doing what they need to do on test stand A. And then once that cryo test is complete, then they'll move it over to test stand A for
I have one good reason to support that idea. It's already on a transport mount. If they find a major problem with Ship 24 while it's still on its transport mount before they pick it up and take it off, then that would definitely be a lot faster to do the initial cryogenic test here rather than at the test stand A.
Yes, I agree 100%. This is a really, really cool test station. The fact that they're able to just do it on the ground right here instead of have to put it all up on the mount is awesome. And yeah, as he said, just being on the transport stand, all I have to do is pull up, plug it in, do that first cryo test, which they also need to test the system because it's new. So that will be the commissioning test of this new platform as well too. And then move it over to test stand A, like I said, and then after that, we'd probably with the wide bay or mega bay, whatever you want to call it, being completed. I don't know if they would install engines at the launch site. I don't see a reason to do that. It would. I mean, it's two more trips that you got to take with the ship, I guess. But
Yeah.
they've done that before. I don't know. I imagine the engines will probably get done at, especially it's the summertime. It's hot. Yeah, I would probably do it in the wide bay instead of out here.
I would tap into some of those liquid nitrogen lines and see if I can't get a mister to keep me cool.
Yeah, it's and they have that liquid nitrogen tanker next to the high bay too.
They also have a water mister. It's called the OLM Deluge, water deluge.
Yeah, just
Oh,
turn
the
that
mister.
on.
Sound
There you
suppressor.
go.
Love that it's
Cool,
not.
actually. I wouldn't mind standing underneath that when it's going, just to.
I know, best mister in town, man.
Yeah. So one thing I wanted to point out while we're here, before we switch over to the ground images, for the last 15 minutes or so, they have set up even more scaffolding on the chopsticks. Not really sure what they're doing, but so one thing that we haven't seen yet is them lift a booster, which we've all been wondering like why. And it looks like they're doing some changes to the actual rail system that the booster rides on. So you can see I don't know what you want to call it, I don't know, pinchers. So you have one on either side, which are controlled by these, what do you call them? Linear actuators. So this one, it almost looks like it's completely off of, like they're almost removing it. I wonder if it's still sitting there now. But if they remove it, I don't know if there's an issue with this or something, but it could explain why we haven't seen them actually lift a booster, because they may still need to do additional work on here. But yeah, I mean, every time we zoom in on it, it's really tough to see what they're doing. I've seen them painting occasionally, but I don't think that's what's happening here. It seems like something else is going down.
Hmm.
I honestly, one thing that I really want to see, and I was expecting to see on this, is a cover over the linear actuator, but I don't even know how that would work, because it just that screw being exposed to the salt water all year long, it just doesn't make sense to me.
Keep it oiled up with the goopy gear oil, and yeah, you'll probably be pretty okay for a long time.
Yeah, probably right about that.
That said, is that the rail installed, the final rail, or no? Oh, I see. Yeah, they cut it off on one side, it looks like.
No, so that's where the rail actually ends. So you can see this one is literally almost off the edge. Like I don't even know how it's still being held there.
Yeah.
It's all the way, it's almost touching this thing up front.
Huh. So yeah, is that the rail that the booster would slide on if it needed to be moved?
Well, here's the thing. So with the booster, when you lift the booster up, you probably don't need these as far apart from each other, because all you're doing is these grab onto the pin on the side of the booster, and maybe I don't need to get a ground image for that. I think you guys know what that pin on the booster looks like for lifting it, the catching pins. When you're waiting for the booster to come down, you would probably have these as far apart as possible so that it can land anywhere on these rails, which finally I think possibly makes this make sense right here, because when this is extended all the way back, it almost looks like that's resting on it. I think I need to see that from the ground. Let's get a ground shot of that, guys.
While you're doing that, super shout out to Rocket Prophet, who donated $10 for 400 likes. Appreciate you, Rocket Prophet. Thanks for the support, my man.
Thanks, RP.
So I don't even know if we can see it right here. I don't see it. Oh, well, this one. Yeah, this is the one right here. Wow. So yeah.
Oh, I see it. Yeah.
It's basically resting on top of that rail. So this rail on this side, it seems like it. Oh, okay. It slides on that rail all the way out.
Yeah.
Now it makes sense why why this thing is here. So it allows it to slide all the way up to the front. So it doesn't, I wouldn't say that they're working on it. It's just as far as replacing it, since it is actually still attached and it looks like it still has room to go. That's crazy. That it completely takes itself off of the rail, the landing rail.
Huh. Okay. And then it screws in to pull the booster back.
Well, once the booster lands on the rail, it would come to meet it in whatever position it's in.
Right, exactly.
So the render
Yeah.
that we see all the time, that one actually shows it. I think it's O's, but I'm not sure. But there's a render that actually shows it. It was one of the first ones we all looked at back in the day. It shows all of that, what you're saying.
Yeah. It's this is a really interesting system. I'm excited to see, number one, them just lift a booster with it. Like, that's a major milestone, which still hasn't happened.
Can you imagine when that happens? That's
Weird.
gonna
I
be
feel like that's the
crazy.
easier thing. It's like, it's almost easier to lift a booster than
Ship.
yeah, in my opinion.
Why? Because booster.
Well, I guess it's heavier, but you don't have to.
Sorry.
Well, so you have with the Starship, you have I think 4 spore stage separation clamps. There may be more of them, but hold on, let me see if I can get a shot of the top of the booster over here. Let's see. That is not what I wanted.
Well, while you're talking there, it is great to see all that methane being delivered. That means they are really getting ready for a static fire.
Exactly. Yeah, I was just about to mention that, but we can go back. Okay, yeah, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, maybe there's only 3 stage separation clamps. So the chopsticks only have to align 3 locations when they're doing the mounting the Starship versus 20 of them on the booster.
Which makes sense.
I don't know. To me, I don't know. I would just imagine a booster would be easier to do everything with, because number one, it's definitely easier to catch right now because it doesn't have to do a flip. It seems like it's just a lot more basic of a vehicle. You're not worried about like any tiles being damaged as the vehicle's stretching because you're lifting it up in the air. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, and you've got the grid fins that if those lifting points don't hold for whatever reason, you've got the grid fins to be the second level of catching it.
Yeah, that is one of the things that's been interesting to me, is imagining the grid fins actually contacting the chopsticks because of where they would be contacting them. They would actually be. Let's get back over to them. So the grid fins essentially, I think, would stretch almost all the way over to here. So like, if the booster was rocking back and forth on here, then the grid fins would actually touch that rail.
But do you think the grid fins will be this direction, or will they be like offset? Because I feel like they'd be offset.
They'll have to be flat. If the grid fins aren't perfectly flat, then it's gonna contact the rail.
I hear what you're saying.
So like booster 4 in its current, with the grid fin to the side like that, they wouldn't even be able to lift it without moving that grid fin back. Yeah. So
Mauricio, I'd love to invite you to jump in here. How does it feel seeing all this from the air as you're flying over? Is it just magical every time?
It's to me, it's more about the flying. I love flying and being out there. It's when I'm on top of the site, it's still, it's still exciting at times, but I'm really focused on getting the shots. I'm hyper focused, I guess. I took my daughters up. When was it? It's even more special now because I took both of my daughters, Natalie and Nicole. I took them up for their Natalie's third flyover, and Nicole's was her first. So I was really focusing on how they react to the whole flying. It was their Nicole's first time on an airplane, so
she was actually,
yeah. Surprisingly, she thought it looked pretty cool, but mid-flight during the flyover, she did ask me, "Hey, I'm hungry," and I'm thinking like, "So what do you want me to do? we're almost at 11,000 feet up in the air, and where do we go to get food at this point?" I don't know. I just thought that was funny.
At the airport. Oh my goodness!
Gotta pack a bag, my friend. You gotta pack a bag.
So with the magic and a flight, do you think you'll be jumping on a Starship one year?
I haven't thought about that, honestly, but it would be. I mean, seriously, I would probably not consider it just because I have family and all that, and I think that's probably more of a job of somebody that's.
I'll do it.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
okay, let me take it back. They're gonna have to majorly change the landing maneuver for the Starship before I do that. I don't like it right now. It's cool to look at, but not if I'm on it. I don't mind it for the tankers, but I personally, if I'm gonna do the flip maneuver, it's fine. I just don't want the tower to catch me. I would rather land on a landing pad. You know, I miss the landing legs. As cool as it's gonna be, I'm a big fan of the landing legs.
I miss the pad too, by the way. The landing
As long
pad
as
was
the
amazing.
Starship,
Now it's just
as long as
part of it.
Starship doesn't miss the landing pad, we're all good. So how about you, Indian Star? Would you jump on a Starship?
Only to go to the moon. I'm not interested in going to Mars, to tell you the truth.
Well, as somebody with a family, including a 16-year-old and a 17-year-old, I will jump on the first Starship going anywhere. However it lands, I'm on it.
What are you trying
Just
to tell
kidding.
us there, my friend? Blink once
I
if you're in
love-
trouble.
Blink.
I gotta get out of here. I'm just kind of scrolling through these photos as we're nearing the end of the show. We have about 3 minutes left, and I just want to. I'm actually looking for a picture of that huge cover on the ground. So those of you who haven't seen it can see what it looks like.
And we have to thank Dave for his $4.20 donation. He said $4.20 for 420 likes.
Oh, thanks, Dave. And thank you to the 420 people who like the stream. Always appreciated. You know, it helps keep us going. If nobody was watching and nobody liked this, I don't know why we'd keep going on.
I mean, let's be real. We would still go on. I mean, I enjoy it, even if is that bad?
I know we used to do this on Discord with like 10 people.
We still do it in Discord. It's just now with a lot more people.
Yeah. Right now might be a great time to also mention if anybody wants to join Patreon or Discord, you can jump in the conversation every day of the week.
Well, and Patreon is actually the subscription for us. It's Patreon, YouTube. Those are all the subscriptions. That's a word I can never say.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, GPJ. Please continue.
Yeah, but all that goes to keeping Mauricio flying and keeping the pictures coming in, and it also goes to us, having a great community. And I want to definitely invite everyone to join and participate in that community. It is wonderful.
And then we also want to thank Nate.
Go
ahead. I am Nate Z, Natey Nate, for his $25 donation, and Rocket Profit for $4.20 as well. All right, GB, all you.
Yeah, I was scrolling through these photos to see if there was some ones that I should probably show at the end of the stream. But yeah, this is that cover that I was mentioning to you guys. I'm sure most of you may have seen it before in one of the daily videos or something like that. So I don't think that we've shown the booster inside of the high bay or wide bay, which is awesome. Looks like they're actually getting close to potentially installing grid pins here soon. Looks like they may be working on the motors up there right now. But yeah, it is insane to see how much more space there is in this building than there is in this one. I mean, it actually makes the
it feels kind of claustrophobic.
high bay, honestly, in my opinion, looks like a joke now because of the fact, like, just how close they are together. Obviously, they have room. Well, maybe not with the flaps to move the ship over more, but it's just crazy seeing how little space they have in comparison to. Well, let me get that further view. Yeah, I mean, you could just see the booster sitting in here all by itself. Here, there we go. That's the one I was looking for. Yeah, that is a lot of space. Man, it really looks like they could have like 10 of them in there for sure. And I cannot wait for the next one. I imagine we may see the full stack happen inside of, well, I hope inside of here. But we'll have to see on that. It seems like they're preparing all that stuff on the ground for it. So as far as the turntable that we mentioned earlier, but we will have to wait and see. But with that, I guess we may start wrapping up the show since we just hit that 3 o'clock mark. But while we do that, I'm going to still go through some photos while Grandpa Joe, or actually, sorry, Mauricio, did you want to add something before we leave as well, too?
Well, just I already dropped the wallpaper download link about 30 minutes before, but I'll drop it again here shortly. And if y'all want to follow Sunny on Instagram, I'm going to be taking him with me every single week to do the ground photography. And I guess I'm just going to document his journey and watch him grow up out there, you know.
Mauricio, that's going to be so cool. Is it already, is the account already created? Can I follow now?
Oh yeah, I just dropped the link there for his Instagram if you guys want to follow.
Thank you. And we also want to thank Pete 2.0 for his $5, I think Australian dollar donation. Thank you, Pete.
Dang, they're covering up the bricks.
Little scratch code on it.
Well, that's no fun. All right, sorry guys, got a bit distracted there. Anyways, yeah, but thank you guys again for joining us this week. We will be here again next week, and we'll definitely see you guys. If you guys want to join us on Discord after the show, we'll be in the studio, so feel free to join us. And that's all I got for you guys.
All right, main engine cut off. Stage separation confirmed. Love you, bye.